This stream is for entertainment purposes. The opinions expressed by the participants might be exaggerated for comedic effect. Harsh language can be used. Thought-provoking or controversial topics may be discussed.
Hello and welcome
Hello.
to this late edition of Terror of Your Skin. Hello, Tyler. Thank you for joining me.
Of course. Thank you for
Came
having
in during
me.
the bumper. Yeah, live at midnight. That's what we do now. I have a shit live sleep schedule anyway.
It's the bar
Oh,
hours.
there you go. Yeah. Oh man, I should have got some wine. Give me a. Can you entertain the folks for a minute?
Sure.
Go get some wine.
Yeah, Zolar's here. Chief of Senators is here. Awesome. Okay, we've got people showing up. You know.
Yeah, I'll be quick.
Yeah,
You
good
can
morning
you
for
can you can
you,
you can still drive. You can still highlight comments and add people if they join, right?
No, I've never resolved that issue for some reason.
You never resolved that issue?
No, I have no. And StreamYard was giving me hell trying to get into here because it was like, it gave me this streamer requires that you go in through YouTube or Facebook, and I go in through YouTube.
Yes.
And then it doesn't have me logged in through YouTube, so I have to back out and then relog. I'm like, dude, what is? I have no idea.
I'll send a fucking link to Zon.
Yeah, sure.
There you go. So then you have somebody to wait a few minutes. Also, like get a chance for people to join.
Yeah.
The stream. So did you watch the video already?
I have not. I've been at work all day.
You've been at work all day? Okay, so there's gonna be a first watch for you. I watched the video.
Oh, fresh eyes.
And it made me kind of angry, right?
The title already tearing out my, tear off my skin, tear out my hair. Yeah,
the show is called Tear Off Your Skin, but like now it was like I felt like tearing off his skin, right? Which somebody like criticized my title, Tear Off Your Skin, said it was a bad title.
I think I responded to that. I said it's
Hello, Zandlar.
Hey,
oh yeah, is that you that responded?
Hello.
Yeah, part of because part of what our whole thing is being a little uncomfortable, being making fun of yourself,
Yeah.
Being,
well, I think it's a great title, to be honest, because like first it's badass. Let's kid ourselves. There's like this kind of like a danger sense, right? What was that about? That's people crazy. But also, there's a lot of meaning to it, right? Like first, like people stop being a little bitch, like sensitive bitch. Right, that's something that I get annoyed by. So tearing off your skin will help with that. But also about going deeper and looking inside, looking beneath the surface, right? And also when you want to role play, you want to get into somebody else's skin.
All right.
So
it's like a triple entendre.
Right.
Yeah. Hello, Zanalar. Thank you for joining us in the early morning when you just woke up.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah,
I saw it pop up, and I wanted to be here.
Yeah, just do some chit chat. I'll go get some wine.
Yeah,
and I'll be right back.
Right. Yeah,
but talk. Oh, don't stare at the camera, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being distracted. My dog is trying to kill herself on my headphone cable. Well,
that happens.
Yeah. So
I got to play with my friends again earlier in the week, and that has been nice because I've just have left them on the side, like for 3 months, from doing all of this 4D role play. Now I'm building up the communication again of guys. Let's try to role play. Let's meet up again.
Yeah,
balancing that social connection. Like I don't need to cut off my friends because of because of role playing differences.
Exactly. Like I've been saying for a while, like my approach to it at my home game has been adjusting little by little, right? Adding one thing at a time that makes it closer to 3D 4D, right? And if we have like at least 2 to 3 cool memorable things happen in a 2-hour session, I'm happy, right? Like as long as we're not having and we never really had this, but as long as we're not having the like 2-hour tavern sessions that you see on YouTube of just like, all right, what happened this session? It's like, I think a guy rolled a 20. I hit on a barmaiden. I don't really know. It's like,
yeah. Absolutely. I think it's a good attitude, right? Because like role playing also, like, and that's why I'm not like completely opposed, like to what we call like 1D game, right? If they're just like social gathering event and stuff like that, because it's important too, like gaming as a social function as well, and role playing game is a good way to have something ongoing that you got to show up every week, right? Make time for it, which oftentimes that's what people like lack in modern day, right? They always we should do something sometime. Well, put something in the schedule. And
Max, you've made me realize I should go grab the bottle because I'm already down. I'm gonna need it.
Where's your drink, Zon?
What I'm drinking?
Yeah, where's your drink?
Just,
like 6 a.m.
Yeah, I got some. I got some like German Pepsi over here, and this one is with sugar. I wanted without sugar, but I couldn't find any bottles. They just all had sugar, so that's fine.
Oh yeah.
I need something to drink. I cannot drink tap water here. I could. It's just not that, it's like very, what's the word? Like calcium rich. The taste, the beer taste.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the taste of the water here as well. Hello, Leo.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Long time. So, we all gonna go into this video. Now the chit chat is done. People got a chance to receive the notification for the show. Chief of Sinners. Max is still hiding out in his cabin at the last Roman Catholic in Canada. We lost us, no?
Oh no.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully he's gonna come back. No, I'm not. I moved last year, actually a year ago. And I know I'm back in civilization. And I don't adapt too well, to be honest. I don't like it. Oh, there you go. It's back. Welcome back.
I logged into StreamYard, and when you log in, it fucking kicks you out.
I was just complaining about this with Max earlier. It's a messy system.
Yeah, I think VTM style game. I guess VTM is like Vampire the Masquerade, or like game like Easy D6 is great at bypassing those 3-hour tavern session for nothing happening. You said theoretically is important as a system.
Yeah, I'm not.
Not.
Play a game at a cafe in Seattle, and you will be amazed how little the system matters.
Yeah,
they'll make anything happen, and by that I mean they'll make nothing happen.
Problem is this. Yes, this is the beginning. We're just like we're still in the pouring our drink and doing little chit chat. Yeah, we have like the panel here. They're on the European side, right? So they just like woke up.
Yeah, I know. I'm drinking the Void today.
This is like an airport.
Be careful when you drink the Void doesn't drink.
My body's preparing for a flight, basically, at this point.
Oh, really? All right, let's put that on screen. If I remember how to do it. Like this. No, like this. There you go.
There we go.
What's with the faces this guy makes, by the way? I mean,
dude,
have you seen this
I'm
guy's
glad
facial
somebody
expressions?
said it.
He's being a good YouTuber.
I had to. He looks like. No, this is how he normally talks. I mean, have you seen what's his face? That movie with Ben Stiller, Zoolander. He kind of looks like he kind of looks like Zoolander, but all the time and on purpose. Ooh.
It always reminds me of the Matt Colville face.
Oh, God, yeah.
Every time, every thumbnail.
Yeah.
Can you tell what he got behind him? Knave. That's his own book. That's Vein of the Earth, a supplement for Lamentation of the Flame Princess.
Also, if like any new subscriber walks in here and sees me making fun of Matt Colville, he has 400,000 subscribers. Like, he can take it.
Yeah, we're punching up here.
At least I'm not being mean-spirited about it. I don't try to, but guys.
To be honest, I thought like Ben was bigger than that. Only 90,000 subscribers. I thought it was bigger than that. I'm surprised.
It's a decent size in role. talking about role playing.
Yeah. What is that? The title of the video? Yes, it is the title of the video. That's why we're reacting to it.
Yeah. Believe it or not, from what I'm told, it's not clickbait. That's the.
No, that's the funny thing. He said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
So let's play
I
a little bit.
thought it was clickbait. That was my first thought.
Mine
and
as
then
well.
I listened to it again. It was like, no, wait. He's like bait and switching, but then he's going back to the title. So I was very confused for a while.
Yeah.
He's sincere in that, like that he think like role-playing games are not about role-playing. Obviously, I disagree with that. Let's play.
Welcome back to QuestingBeast. I'm Ben. You know,
right. You can hear?
Yes, it works.
Yes? Okay.
Despite often being known as an OSR gamer primarily, the reality is that I will try virtually any RPG that you put in front of me. Whether it's sci-fi or fantasy or horror or rules light or crunchy, I don't really care. What I care about is the way that it's run. Now, there's plenty of ways to run it.
There's always one thing I want to point out. Like he said, being referred to as an OSR gamer, right? He's a gamer. He's not a role player. So that's already, at least he doesn't pretend to be a role player. You know, maybe we should cut him some slack, right? He's not a role player. He thinks role-playing games are not about role-playing. Well, at least he's not pretending. Like, you know, that's just something that Shauner would always get mad at, right? Don't lie to me. I hate being lied to. Right. At least now he's being honest and sincere, right? So maybe we should give him some, I don't know.
Yes, you join a role-playing game. They call themselves role players. You get to role play. You show up, and you're talking about rules and adding modifications, and doing math for 4 hours
and taking initiative.
Yeah, and solving puzzle.
Yeah, entirely out of character. So, you know.
That's also what like he's gonna say that what I care about is the way that it's run.
An RPG, and of course the reality is that they are all perfectly legitimate as long as you and your friends are having a good time playing it. Advocate for an OSR style of play.
Drinking
as long as you're having fun, it's all valid, it's all equal.
I was right. I will need this.
Okay. Let's come up with at least one example of playing a game that is completely wrong.
I should have made a bingo for that.
I made one ages ago. I can dig it up.
What way of playing the game is like completely wrong? What would you pick?
None, as long as you're having fun, you know.
Right? Yeah.
Just take out like the net.
Wait, so you agree
and the racket and the tennis ball, and call it an RPG, and it's all valid.
Okay. The problem is that we have to point it out so he doesn't get attacked in the comment sections.
So
right?
even if we accept that they're just games, fun is like a third of the definition of a game. You can look up any definition of game. Nobody exactly agrees. I think Jules' definition of a game is the best one. But if you look at, pick 4 or 5 different scholarly definitions of what a game is, fun is one out of like maybe 3 or 4 points.
Well, it's like sometimes like one criteria that like it's an activity that you do for leisure.
Yeah.
If it's a game that you're not doing that for for a job or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's one of the criteria, right? There's also some structure, some rules, some stuff like that, right?
Exactly. Right.
And some choice. Otherwise, it's gambling, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. But no, as long as you're having fun,
Bingo card.
Yeah. It's also just it's throwaway language, It's it doesn't mean anything because you haven't defined, and it sounds kind of silly unless you start to look at it with and I think more people do need to look at, are they actually having fun with the thing they're doing, or are they kind of gaslighting themselves into believing that they're having fun because they don't want, it's sunk cost, right?
You will sacrifice fun.
Sorry, go ahead. Zeno.
You will sacrifice fun to please the players on your table. And it's going to happen really fast, especially if you're the kind of guy that wants to be liked or that wants to have spend time with your friends. You will sacrifice your fun to be at the table.
Yep.
And
I think also
you have to be aware of that to stop it.
Yep.
For a lot of people also it's like something to do, and like they're having fun because like it's a better alternative than sitting on their couch scrolling TikTok, right? If that's your if that's like, oh, I'm doing something that's better than that, now I'm having fun, right? You need to find better hobby. You need to fill up your life with more meaningful stuff, right? Like
Well, the thing is, I work in a bar as a bouncer, and you look at the way people are at the bar, and you look at the way most people play games, and it's kind of the same. And like, well, why don't you just stop being nerds, go to the bar, have a drink like normal people, instead of involving this silly game with dice? Because it's literally the same type of what you get out of it,
Yep.
Are people having fun at the bar? Oftentimes they don't. They're not. Like, if you look at the bar, they don't look like they're having fun.
Whether I work at
feel
an
like
Irish
people-
bars, they all have fun. They just in their DNA. I can't explain it.
I
They
feel
know
like
what they're
people
doing.
at the bar make
I've
more
fun at the bar.
mistakes than at the role-playing table.
What? You can make more mistakes. I'm having fun at the bar.
Yes.
Like, sometimes there's still mistake though. Yeah. All right, let's keep playing. We're made like not even 30 seconds.
The reality is, I don't care that much what style of play you use, as long as it has one particular thing. That thing is a principle called TUNIC, which is an acronym which will make sense shortly. TUNIC is based off of my understanding of what role-playing games fundamentally are, what makes them special and sets them apart from all of the other types of games that we play. A session that accentuates TUNIC is one that takes what is the core of role-playing games, in my opinion, and puts that at the forefront, and therefore is the most fun, at least for me. Now, to really understand TUNIC, we're going to have to take a step backwards and really understand what I believe to be the core of role-playing games. And spoiler alert, it's not role-playing. Before we dive into that, a quick shout out to today's sponsor.
Pause before the sponsorship. I can do this better. So I'm going to use my technical writing degree to shorten this acronym from 5 letters to 1 letter about what makes role-playing games special. It's R. You can do the rest. I'll give you a hint. It's not rules. That's not the special thing.
No, that's and we gotta give him a chance to explain why he think role playing is not what make. But obviously, right? And the argument like people use the name wrong. Like in that case, it's not wrong. Like people fucking they're calling role playing game because it's about role playing. And that's why it's the name that's stuck.
If I'm not sure if I'm being pedantic, you can tell me. But he already stated like TUNIC is what defines what, like that's the core of a role-playing game. But then he followed up with, well, there is a core to every role-playing game, and TUNIC enhances it. So I'm already questioning myself, like, which is it? Is it TUNIC, the focus, or the game you're playing the focus, and you use the mainframe of TUNIC to play through the game?
Yeah,
to be honest, like that's something like I really didn't like the way he put this video together as well. Like saying, "Oh, what is like for me the core is like you said, like it's TUNIC," but it doesn't explain it right away. Like like fucking explain what TUNIC is instead of like doing the suspense kind of shit, right? Just like that also pisses me off.
But Max, he needs to get views.
Well, he needs to get the view times, right?
And
with
his
sponsorship break.
His sponsor probably had a stipulation that it needs to be read within the first 2 minutes as well. So it needs to be structured in a stupid way. Yeah.
Oh, would that be contracted? Like,
almost.
Put it in the because all the viewers are at the beginning.
If you notice that, almost all of the smart sponsors know that your click-through rate's going to be 30 seconds to a minute, so they'll put it somewhere in that first quarter of the video.
And we're gonna skip the sponsor, obviously.
Yep.
We have to skip quite a bit.
Jeez. Getting their money's worth.
I don't mind.
I just love that font.
Feature of these types
I just love the way the font is for that
term
sponsor.
that we use for them to.
Sorry, you said?
I just love the way the font is for that sponsor. Whatever, it's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, whatever.
Anyways,
we'll look at it if you pay me. I'm kidding. We're not.
I'm not going to buy it. I play role-playing games because I'm cheap, not because I'm rich.
Right, it's a cheap hobby.
RPG is just the name that we eventually settled on. And in the past, there were plenty of other competing terms that were often used in place of it. I've written in the past how much I like the term adventure game. And TSR...
Yes, go ahead, Tyler.
He has reached a tendril out and touched the truth. It's like before I saw this video, I made a reference to it's like the protagonist in an H.P. Lovecraft story glimpsing beyond the veil, but like they still don't fully get it. They're still like, it just, if they were to grasp the totality of it, they would go insane.
Yeah, like I wish Shauna was still with us.
Oh no, Rolling Stag's not hearing it.
Yeah, because Shauna used to say that. Like, he used to say like, "Oh, D&D is not a role-playing game; it's an adventure game," right? That was the term he was using. So now, like, he said, "Oh, I like the adventure game. Oh, Rolling Stag. If you want to join us, I think I sent you a link. Did I send you a link?
Yeah, if you want to join us, they can kick me. You know, it's possible.
Well, we could squeeze at 5, right? But
yeah, sure.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I don't know. This is like getting in the car. This is like when everybody needs to get in the car, and it's like, well, somebody has to sit on somebody's lap. I'm sorry, that's how it is.
If we're 5 in the car,
I'll get in the trunk. He can take the back seat in the middle. You know, with the other 2 guys.
If we're 5 in the car, I'm not sitting in the back. You know that.
I'm skinny. I can fit.
Yeah. But so adventure game. That's the term he likes. And again, you know, that's also like part of the thing with the 40 stuff, right? The differentiation, like like I always say, like what we engage in this hobby. It's a big tent, and we engage in very different stuff in very different way, and we want to. We're looking for different things basically, like, but we're all like forced in the same tent. And you know, we should like have smaller tents that are separate, so we can like find our own group instead of just like being there in this huge tent, like just like yelling at each other.
Yep.
So I like this a lot. Yeah, if he says, "Hey, you want to join my adventure game?" I will be very happy to play the adventure game. I like this term a lot, actually. To set expectations.
It's just frustrating that 2 minutes into the video about how role-playing games aren't about role-playing, he is now talking about how he likes an entirely different kind of game, and it's like that's kind of the problem, isn't it?
Yes.
But in the sense, right? Let's break it up. I'm okay with that. Like John said, right? Just like, that's fine. Like, stop calling yourself like a role-playing or like role-playing game enthusiast. Say like, I like an adventure game.
We have this.
And what people say, what's that? It's like role-playing game without roleplay.
Right. We have this issue with karate as well, and why we have so many different styles of karate, because karate can now mean, oh, you have a black belt in karate? Okay, you could either be someone who did this when you were 8 and you got a black belt in a few months because your mom paid for it and you never actually sparred, you just kind of did some movements in a gi from some guy who did the exact same thing and also has no real experience. Or you could be like one of the most skilled fighters on the planet. If we just have the word karate, it's kind of meaningless, right? So we need these subdivisions.
Yeah, you have to is it Shotokan or is it like Origin? Is that
Shorin?
Shorin-ryu.
I don't know, those Gojo-ryu, Sotokan-ryu, Wujo-ryu, and there's the other one I can't remember for the life of me.
Shorin is the 4th, yep.
Yeah. That was weird.
It's awesome.
Oh, and there's Kabuto Karate. There's also Kabuto Karate, too.
Yeah, and people argue whether or not that's even karate, but yeah.
It's weird.
Sorry. Honestly, through the video, I was going... honestly, through the video was going to be... I honestly thought... Sorry. The video was going to be about inputting a genre and pointing out most popular RPG can't actually be role-played with unless you put extreme effort in. No, that's not that guy. That's not the guy that can say like...
This is not your champion.
No. Rolling Stacks, I'd go with him if he never said the word roleplay ever again. At least the mask is off. I agree.
Oh, it's war.
It's a little bit... It's a little bit like when you get a Scotch or a Japanese whiskey and it doesn't tell you, and then it turns out it's like it tastes kind of weird, and you get it and you're like, hang on, and it doesn't say anywhere on the label. You have to go online and find out, oh, this is only like 20% Japanese whiskey and the rest is all blended Scotch that they imported, and well, that's disappointing, and now you've wasted your time and money.
Yeah, that's a fair analogy, right?
Yeah. It's called subverting expectations. Haven't you?
Or fraud.
Almost put my wine there. All right, let's hear about his adventure game and how like role plays whatever
did as well. If you look at a lot of early AD&D books, it actually says adventure game on their spine, where the genre of this book happens to be. And of course, OD&D was originally listed as a rules for a new type of war game rather than an RPG or an adventure game. The term role-playing game actually encountered a lot of resistance early on because it sounds an awful lot like something that you would do in therapy. Eventually, though, it stuck, mostly because the activity of role-playing was one of the most striking and memorable features of this type of game. All that being said...
You don't say. Is that so?
Honestly, I have no idea where he got this information. I mean, I read a subtle... what do you call that game? No, the game, The Elusive Shift. I can't remember them... I do remember them talking about what game name to adopt, but I don't remember this thing about, role-playing sound like something from therapy. I'm like, no, I don't remember that.
It is like the concept of role-playing is something that has been used in therapy for quite a while, right? I don't know for how long, quite a while. And there is some parallel between the two. But
yeah,
and it's true also, right? Oh, chainmail was for rules for a new type of war game. Yeah, that's fucking true. But we move past that. And adventure, and the term stuck because it is what fucking the game's about.
It frustrates me how, and I know this might be ironic as the historical European martial arts instructor, but it frustrates me how caught up a lot of people are in the history of D&D.
Yes.
Probably because it's not that fucking old. It's not like act like we're talking about like ancient history and the founding of nation. No, it was a couple of guys that made a game 50 years ago.
They didn't come up with the purest form of role playing from the get-go.
No.
Right? It's not like it was at 100% and everything since then like kind of degraded. No.
It has been a downfall since the 70s.
No, I don't think it's the case at all, right? That's the thing, right? It's like they stumble upon that thing. They didn't know what they got really, and then like it grew bigger than them, right? I'm not like, I have some respect for the creator of D&D and stuff like that. I think Gary Gygax is one, if not the most influential game designer ever, or of the modern time. Like, we could say like, the guy that invented chess, nobody knows who that is, right? Just
Lost to time.
Yeah, lost to time, right? Yeah, but like Gary Gygax, like, and Dungeons & Dragons influenced like game design so much now with video game, like the concept of level, the concept of gaining experience, the concept of class, like all those things, right? Just like kind of came with him. So
like even the Faco system invented a whole new computer game genre.
Yeah.
Just did not exist before they came up with it.
I'd be really smug and annoying and say, actually, Battleship War Games invented the concept of class, which is where he took that concept from.
Oh, yeah.
It's a hit point, so each hit is a point.
We owe it to the golden age of sail for modern game design.
Yeah, but like applying it to an individual hero, right?
Yeah.
When they're selecting video game,
I get your point. Yeah.
They draw like inspiration from Dungeons & Dragons.
I'm being
but I don't think is a god amongst men, right? It's something that stumbled upon something that was pretty cool, made a business out of it, made a game out of it, and then the thing evolved from him, right? Like past him, I would even say, and that's fine. But
I would say that you draw to the history because you want to lend it your argument like some gravitas. Like, oh, look, I'm in line with the historical scriptures. Therefore, you should listen to me. That's what it feels like to me. So I think it's, it can be disingenuous, but I feel like it's just being used as a tool in this case.
Yeah. And I want to talk about roleplay. Do I do it now or do I do it later? Like, what is roleplay?
He should explain roleplay,
Give him a chance to shoot himself in the foot.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's not gonna explain what roleplay is, and even if he tried, he doesn't get it. He doesn't know, right? No. Let's see, like Rolling Stag say, but he's making a name as a role-playing expert. Disingenuous would be too charitable for. Yeah, I agree with that.
Ouch.
I know early on the war game didn't want role playing because they thought it would lead to story gaming. Also, the word used on the spine is irrelevant. Yeah, and also there was some war gaming that had some role playing element. And if you do war gaming for a tactical reason, the people in the military they do war gaming, and you have to kind of role play because you cannot just be yourself. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the commander of the other nation, right? So if you're gonna roleplay the Russian, you're gonna war game the Russian. You have to some extent, try to think like a Russian, right? Which don't think like us or like the Chinese or whatever, right? Because they're different cultural value and bias and stuff like that. So there's a role playing element to that, right? You have to put yourself in the skin of this other nation general if you do it right. Which oftentimes they don't do it right, and they get fucked up. they get surprised. Oh, we didn't see that coming, right? It's well, because you're fucking dumbass.
Oh no, because it makes no sense. Imagine trying to be, I don't know, a Japanese general from feudal era,
Well, in and I know we're not supposed to talk about World War II in this channel, but I'm gonna do a quick exception there because it's with Japan. When the Allies were fighting in the Pacific, they had a hard time getting the Japanese to surrender because they was trying to be very aggressive. Oh, you surrender, motherfucker! You're gonna lose. You better surrender, stuff like that. And the Japanese would never surrender, and they would fight to the death like insane people to us, right? And at some point, they figure out the approach that they have to do is to go oh, dear honorable Japanese enemy, we have you bested, and try to cater to the honor and say it's not you fight honorably and stuff like that. Now you're allowed to surrender, and doing that, now the Japanese would surrender. But there's this thing of understanding that this other people doesn't think like you, doesn't have the same cultural value, and that's being able that's basically empathy, right? I've talked about that in my slaver video. That's putting yourself in the skin of somebody else, and that's an element of role play there if you want. But
it's putting yourself in the skin of a Japanese man.
Yes.
That's it.
In a non-creepy way. Well, there are also those of us that are older gamer. We don't care for the tech and interpretation of what we know because we were around for it. Yeah, reinterpretation. Yeah, that's. And you know how the hobby evolved, right? You got to see it. Remember that QB plays with a little kid and nothing. Oh, okay. He's a teacher and he does have his game with his student, I believe. So I think that's what he's referring to that question being with little kid. Hopefully that's only the context. I don't want to.
Everything is normal.
Yeah, I don't want to insinuate anything that literally can get him removed from his shop forever. To never get hired again. So let's not even play with that. If you heard something or see something, talk to the police, not to chat. What?
Yeah. Crispy, hello. Just watch one of his games. Shoner was right. Yeah. As always.
He was right. The prophet spoke.
I'm getting a Shoner was right t-shirt printed.
Give me one too. I do.
Yeah, great
Print
merch.
a run of those in memoriam.
Yeah. So let's play a little bit more. See if he's gonna explain role play and why it's so wrong and not fitting for this hobby.
I don't think the activity of role playing, as fun and iconic as that is really at the core of what sets these types of games apart from all the others. It was RPG author Vincent Baker that first pointed out to me that role-playing is actually quite widespread across a wide variety of games and isn't special to tabletop RPGs. It's really a technique that can be added.
All right, let me play a little more.
Added to almost any kind of game to add a new element to it. Think about video games, for example. In most first-person shooters, you are playing a role, you're playing a character, but we don't think of those as role-playing games. Or look at board games, for example. In Twilight Imperium, say, you role play the commander of an alien army with its own culture and history and so forth. But we don't think of that as a role-playing game either. And in tabletop war games like Warhammer, you actually play a variety of characters all at the same time, often who have personalities and unique goals. But again, that's not what we call a role-playing game.
No.
Almost any type of game can have role playing added to it, but that doesn't make it what we would think of as a tabletop role playing game.
Okay.
And that's a good
let me say what he's saying in a different word.
Okay.
I walk to work, and a semi-truck can also take me to work, but we wouldn't call my shoes a semi-truck. Do you see how fucking ridiculous that sounds? Like,
Yes.
You can't just take one aspect of something and compare it to another single aspect of. Let's even give it a more genuine comparison. Yes, obviously, a car and a semi-truck both have engines, but you would not use one. You would not say, you could just put a V16 and a trailer on a Honda Civic and use it to do massive logistics things. No, there's obviously a difference. There are things that don't function here. And this comparison is often why we talk about mechanics in games being engines for them. Because just like in a car, it would take you rebuilding the whole car to have something functionally similar.
I couldn't even listen to the rest of what he was saying because I'm so hung up on him saying like, oh yeah, you can play a role in a first-person shooter. What were you doing as Doom? You just shot demons. What were you doing in Quake? You shot other people in the deathmatch. What were you doing in Counter-Strike? Like, nobody gave a shit that you were terrorists and counter-terrorists. It was about clicking heads. Yeah. Like, nothing about that had anything to do like picking a role. It evolutionized with Battlefields when you had like, oh, I can be in an airplane. I can be the guy with the rocket.
But then with the military role, like you're playing rifleman.
Exactly.
Machine gun, blah, blah, blah.
That's, like Shauna would always say, like, oh, I'm playing a role. I'm a human fighter. That's the role I play, right? Yeah. It's like that's what it's doing, right? It's like that's when he say that, that's like, oh man, you don't fucking get it, right? Monopoly is a role-playing game because I'm playing the boot.
When I pick Assault in Battlefield, my character doesn't even have a name, and usually when I respawn, I'll respawn as like a different race, a totally different person. It's not like I know nothing about this person other than the guns they can equip.
And you're not
are
there.
Are you even Trueborn or are you Mudblood?
Yeah.
Are you Clanner? Are you Innispirian Trash? Are you Noble? I don't care. Like, your role is Assault. Like, so he's already conflating role-playing with playing a role. It's like muddying the waters from the get-go, and people getting lost.
Like Day of Defeat, right?
I think he actually does have a point with board games, because board games can let you play and I actually learned this from an Indian friend of mine. You can play a shashan, which means crown holder or representative. And, part of it is managing resources, and the board game helps you say, okay, this is the resources I have, these are the resources somebody else have, and we're going to negotiate from the perspective of our respective positions. That's the thing you can have in some types of board games. So he's semi-right about that.
Yeah, but you don't make your choice in the board game based on the role you're playing. You make the choice in the board game based on what gives you point and what's going to make you win, right? Like I like to play
some board games, but like
the Doom board game, right? Yeah, like we all have a faction, right? And then you're gonna play like, oh, I'm playing the Arconin, or I'm playing the Fremen, stuff like that. And sometimes we're gonna role play a bit in there, right? Talking like in character. But when I make my choice, and the game is well made, like it's like I'm looking for what's happening on the board. I'm not in the eyes of somebody. I'm not in the skin of my character, right?
Yeah. How do I win the board? How do I win the game?
Like I was saying, like I used to play like when I was a young man, like I used to play the Day of Defeat a lot. Like that's the first person shooter I like to play. And if I'm playing like just like the German guy with like the bolt action rifle, right? I'm not like there like, oh, I'm just a conscript. I want to go back to my home. I'm gonna hide because I don't want to die. Yeah. Like I have a wife. I'm not thinking about all of that fucking shit. I'm trying to score a point, right? I'm not like, that's like, so I could like, I guess like, yeah, I'm playing a role.
Yep.
I'm a fucking infantryman, but I'm not thinking as the character.
Which is why the mechanics really do matter, and you can't necessarily just add. I can't remember her name, but there's a book that describes a problem in designing a game first and foremost with a golf analogy, which is if you didn't have the rule that you have to use the club, everyone would just pick the ball up and walk it to the hole because that's the closest, easiest way to do it. When you introduce things like points, like you have to capture these points, you have to get first team to 150 kills wins. When you introduce those, role-playing takes at least a backseat to
and sometimes
150 kills.
Sometimes if you want to add the role-playing element, it can get in the way of the actual game. Like, you know, my Deal Defeat example, if I was trying to role-play the German infantryman, then I wouldn't play the game very well. Right?
Yes. And if it's a multiplayer game you play with other people will be upset at you because they're trying to win the game, and you're trying to role play, and they will be like, "What are you doing here, man? Like, I'm trying to get this match done with."
Oh shit! Close my bottle. Why?
You're literally griefing us by like allowing them a chance to surrender. You know.
And even in a MMO RPG, supposedly like World of Warcraft, right? If you're not like in
I'm representing.
But if you're not like in a specifically like a role play server, and even if you are sometimes, and you're on a raid, but you're just like there like doing your role play and trying to, like, people are gonna fucking kick you out. Because you're playing the game right.
They will tell you to clear comms, like stop talking. Raid leaders talk.
Yeah.
It's even like that there used to be a MMO for Dungeons and Dragons. It was based on 4th edition.
Neverwinter Nights?
Oh,
no.
The 4th ed, Neverwinter
Nights. It's a different one.
Yeah.
You can't fucking role play in that thing.
DDO Online.
If you're thinking of DDO, that was based on 3.5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But but it did a Neverwinter Night also, it's true. That was based on 5th. Like, I'm thinking of like the word Neverwinter Night from back in the days, but they make a new one that is MMO based on 5th. So I was right.
I just want to, before we get back on point, I just want to say I was at a con and there was a LARP that was in a universe or in a story universe that was based off of the result of a bunch of play groups crusade games. But that had nothing to fucking do with the games. Like, the games will just be won and we see what we get. So yeah, it's a very it's kind of like paints. And if you have some paints and they're very translucent and you put them on other paints, it's not gonna work. Role-playing is like that. Yeah.
You don't paint with water on oil, right? Questing is suffering from presentism.
Presentism.
Looking at the past through this modern lens of slop system, with no RP. Since you can't experience real RP, just assume it never existed. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, it's a character.
He never ascended, therefore it cannot exist. Oh my god, the 14 planes.
Yeah, that's what it is, right? That's what genre used to do. Like, 3D being cannot 2D being cannot understand the third dimension, right? I've watched this game and it was painful. Definitely done a role-playing game. Role-playing remove. Yeah. OSR. Oh no, it was like a role-play remove game. What do you call them? I forgot the expression you used to use.
RPR.
The adventure game.
Yeah. He play RPR, role-play remove.
Yeah.
He play adventure game. That's what he said. Yeah. He's literally doing the Shonner memes, I would say in plural.
Yeah.
Why bother with a tabletop game if there's no RP? Just play a video game. Like Shonner say, video games do everything better when it comes to 1D, 2D play. Or play decent, or play like this guy like the puzzle a lot, from what I understand. Like, he liked the OSR style run game because like the player is challenged, right? He liked all those books in the background, like that he review, like, oh no, there's intrigue and adventure and like those cool puzzle, right? Just like, you like puzzle, you like puzzle game, right? Just like, you should do like escape room and shit like that, right?
There's things, right? Like, part of my job as a bartender and tobacconist is to figure out if there's a thing you like doing now and there's a better way to do it, right?
Yeah.
If you like the cheapo $2 Swisher Sweets, there's probably a way better tobacco that we could get you. Or if you like the Glenlivet 12, I can point you in a direction that's maybe cheaper, or we don't have an issue with this in other things we do for enjoyment. If somebody can get something for cheaper, or something that's just as good, or something they have to spend a bit more money on, but it's a lot better, people don't have a problem with that. But when you suggest, for some reason in role-playing, hey, here's a different way that you could enjoy this more, and that's the thing, it's not about, but for them it's about just having fun. It's not about having more fun. It's not about using that time more wisely. And I go, why do we want this baseline?
Buddy, the people who play role-playing games just to have fun are like the people who go to the bar and don't give a shit as long as they're stone drunk after it.
All right,
that's the same thing.
That's an apt comparison.
That really is. Like, I don't care, it doesn't matter, I just want to get fucking drunk. Cause all the trouble. It's like, have standards.
What about Knave 2? Does that have role-playing in it, or only if you back the Kickstarter?
Role-playing is like an unlock, a tier reward.
Knave 2, I have it. It's basically like just random rolling charts. That's what you get. And I think a Diablo-like inventory system. So you have to figure out how to place your little piece of gear on your character sheet so you can carry more. Like Backpack Hero, or like a
that's a good one.
This kind of game, yeah, that's what it is. When I see that's the kind of game he likes, right? He like the players to be challenged. Yeah, resource management game, yeah, competitive spreadsheet. I get, yeah, that's exactly.
By the way, I wasn't lying.
Online.
By the way, I wasn't lying when I said his regular face is just weird.
It's every frame that you paused on. Yeah,
it's like, this is Zoolander.
Yeah, let me play some more. Just play Diablo at that point. I would agree with that, and I love Diablo.
There's evidence, in my opinion, that role-playing alone is not sufficient. Another way to look at this is to see what would happen if you really dialed down or even eliminated role-playing as a feature in a tabletop RPG. Does doing so shift it?
Wait, you say like role-playing alone is not sufficient? Yes, of course. We also have
what if we remove the frontal cortex of the human? Is he still human? Yeah, he still functions. He can work, he can breathe, he can sleep. There's nothing of value lost, really.
See the problem, Zonalar, is that's taking this at face value and not. But you didn't run the control. You haven't tried it with roleplay.
Yeah,
you're already done the experiment.
I guess you can play. Yes, you can play a role-playing game without the roleplay. Like those guys are doing it, but then you're kind of like not playing a role-playing game right at that point, right? That's the whole argument.
You don't need to see color to see the world. Like you can walk through it. You can identify like a house and a tree. Like color is unnecessary to live.
It's true.
But what if you add a color though? Have you tried it?
What if you make a hamburger, but you take away the burger inside, right? You take away the steak.
Yeah.
Is it still food? Can you still eat it? I guess so.
Feces burger.
Yeah.
You can have like a weird tomato sandwich, but well, then you don't need the burger to have a hamburger.
This is the guy.
That's the level of argument we're having now, right?
I think this guy was at my bar as a woman the other day. Because a woman at my bar ordered an amaretto sour with no bourbon and no egg white. If you're aware of that, that's just amaretto and lemon juice.
Yeah.
And I had to stare and control myself from going,
well, actually,
what do you want? Like, what really do you want here? But okay. That's what some people want. And she was honest about it. That I think was refreshing, as I was like, I can certainly make that for you if you're not going to get mad about it, but I'm confused.
Yeah. All right, let's hear he's gonna get to the there's a big lump in the middle of the video that he's not saying a lot. Then he's gonna go to the fucking TUNIC principle and
we're halfway through and we don't know what it is. Yeah.
Our chat is on fire. Like everybody is against this guy.
He has to prove a different genre of gameplay. Does it feel fundamentally different? In my opinion, no. In fact, I would say that it's completely possible to have two players in the very same game, one of which is completely immersed in his PC and making choices as that PC would, while the other player is using his PC more like a chess pawn, moving it around the board and using it as an extension of his will. Now, there might...
Go ahead, Tyler.
Drinking game. As Shauner says, if roleplay happens, but nobody hears it, did it really happen? Can you actually roleplay without saying anything?
Yep.
No, you can't, is the answer.
No, we narrate the accents.
Okay, it's even worse. Like, I am actually offended now. He is basically saying, you have a role player at the table who is role-playing, so the tree is falling down in the forest. Everybody's at the table, and they are ignoring you. Continue with the tactical gameplay.
And he's saying that doesn't matter. What he's saying is,
yes.
So we started with as long as everyone's having fun, and now we've moved to you can ignore the one role player at the table. It doesn't actually matter. It's like they're not having fun.
He's saying you can have your own fun in the corner. I will ignore everything you do.
And it's like roleplay blindness.
Well, and you know how, and you know, because I've been in these games, you know how you get the in my mind role player that doesn't say anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is how.
You get the I'm going to try to there's not a rule for that. Oh. I'm going to do no, you actually you have to have you're only 1 feet down the chain. You can only do that if you're 3 feet down the chain and you're like I can't push a guy unless I take a feet? I feel like I could push a guy. And then by the third or fourth one of those, you go...
Just follow the rules,
I'm just going to imagine that I push the guy. I'll just
follow the rules, Tyler. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's in the book. Just do what the book tells you.
That's how you get the invisible role play.
Yeah.
You sit at the table, and it's the most boring shit, but you get up and be like,
and,
well, I imagined myself a cool story. They didn't help whatsoever.
And, you know, as Shauner always says as well, it's like, well, my players always say they had fun. It's like, yeah, just like most people don't leave negative reviews at restaurants. It's because most people are non-confrontational, especially if they're your friends. They're not going to say, that was shit, you could have done that way better. No, they're going to say, oh, yeah, I had a great time. And you won't figure that out. You'll either figure it out by them staying quiet, or you'll figure it out when they don't show up again, right? And I made a video on this. It's like, is everyone having fun? No, because the people who aren't having fun are either not telling you about it, or they've left. They're not there because they didn't have fun 5 sessions ago. And maybe when they say, oh, role-playing games aren't for me, they don't mean that. They're trying to be nice and not say... You're shit.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear him. Let's give him a chance to redeem himself.
Might be some conflict at the table between these two players because they might get annoyed at each other for having very different styles of using their PC. But I've certainly seen it happen where players.
It's a matter of style, Ben. It's a matter of style.
Whole campaigns without breaking anything. And to me, that really says
they can play
is
for
not
whole
just insufficient for making an RPG. It might not even be necessary. So what is it then that links all of these different RPGs together into a single genre if it's not the fact that you're playing a character? To me, the answer is the fact that these games are open games rather than closed games. So what do I mean by that? The vast majority of games that we play, I would call closed games. That means that they have a finite, closed structure of rules that everyone plays inside of. It's not possible to make a move that is outside the rules, because that would be against the rules. Now, open games, on the other hand, are characterized by a property that S. John Ross has called tactical infinity. And this means just what it says. In any given situation, there is an actual infinite number of things that you can try. Anything that your character could reasonably be said to try and do,
except for role-playing.
You're not limited by the rules of it.
By the way, what you're saying is BS. I mean, look at all the vampire systems.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of shit you can't do in vampire.
Yeah. So,
or if you look at a game like, which you can debate if you can roleplay with that, but like with the Power by the Apocalypse game, right?
Yeah.
Everything's a move. You want to do something, you have to have a move for it, right? Oh, I'm gonna do a parley move. Then you can talk, right? It's like it's to that extent.
Yeah.
You want to talk to somebody, you have to use your parley move.
But that's actually weird because Power of the Apocalypse was the first time I actually met role-playing, because the game master told me, don't tell me what you want to do, do it, and I tell you which skill you roll to achieve it. So I just role play, and then he interprets it for me which thing I roll. And I was at that point I only played a couple of AD&D sessions, and 5e wasn't really out yet. So that one blew my mind. So it's insane how far we've come in the last 10 years.
So we've got two problems here. Two problems. One of them is, if we're gonna do history, there's rule fucking zero in like every book. So no, most things are not a closed system, because within that closed system is rule zero, which is make up whatever you want. So
no, you're saying that role-playing game are different because they're open.
Oh, okay.
Most game are closed.
I missed that part while I'm raging.
To be fair, I don't have too much of a problem with that. I think I think that's a fairly fair assumption. It's a fairly fair, like, characterization. It's true. In role-playing game, you have more option. It's more open. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
Which in normal game, usually you can't. But I don't think that's what make role-playing game unique.
No.
Right?
Not necessarily. Right.
You can do that with charade, or with, like, you want to play like a improv, like, which is kind of a form of game, right? Like
you could do it with many video games that have a console. Arguably, it's not truly infinite, but you
can mod it. Yep.
Right, like you could argue that like I can kind of role play in Fallout New Vegas because I can look at a locked wooden door and go, oh, my character has an axe, so I'm going to go into the console and do unlock. Even though that's not the way the game means for me to be playing that section, I just go, well, logically, I'm just going to chop the door down.
And you have some role playing games that are much more closed in the sense, right? Like even Pathfinder, which trying to have like a rules for everything, that's closing it down, right? Which
I mean, you can have games where it makes sense roleplay wise to close it down. Like if you're playing a vampire, you can't see blood and be like me.
Yeah.
Or you can't be like, oh, this guy just used dominate on me, and I'm just gonna fucking ignore it. Like, no.
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna make people upset because people roleplayed in Among Us. Like people would make actions that would be fun for them. What if I mess around with the other players with my actions and try to defend them? I'm not actually the killer. I'm just sabotaging the game a little bit to bring in spice. They're adding a layer of roleplay in a very stupid game, but it's still like open-ended.
Yeah, likewise, the Battlestar Galactica board game is very similar in that regard. But my other problem is it's something he says and then just blazes past, which is, it's another hit on the bingo, which is thing that could have been solved if you had a session zero, god damn it. Which is two players irritated that they both want to play the game in different ways. And it's like, did you not sit down before you had your 5 million session, 5 billion hour campaign to consider what you're actually playing? Like, come on, man.
30-year campaign. We spent like the 5 first session in the tavern. The whole 30-year was like 4 months in game time.
It's 4 months in game time, and by the 15th year, 2 of the players have realized, wait a minute, what do you think a role-playing game is?
The pain tolerance. Yeah, it's like oh yeah, the pain tolerance of a human is like incredibly high. He can sit there playing a role-playing game for 3 years without breaking down. It's like.
Let me just say, this player never do anything specifically prescribed in the book.
Right.
I'll believe that. He's expecting to believe that he would give unlimited, infinite possibility in his game, and he said not from the game shared online. He direct his player via second person GMing, right? So he said like, oh yes, you can do like stuff that is not in the book when the GM say you're doing it.
I feel like in QuestingBeast's mind, he is Morpheus offering 2 pills to the player, and a real role player would be like, "Fuck your pills" and kick him in the face, And you will see how the fucking GM reacts to that. Like, can you roll with the punches and come up with something new, or is he going to be salty about it?
Because that's insane. Like saying like, oh no, those role playing games are an open type of game. It's insane if it's on always the GM saying, oh, do you want to go west or do you want to go east? Do you want to kick the thief, or do you want to run away?
And then you're playing.
He will bring up the example, so
you're playing
nail
Zork.
him down on that.
You're playing Zork, and you try to go east, and the GM just says there's nothing to the east, and you try to go west, and the GM just says there's nothing to the west, and you're like, all right, man, what do you want me to do?
You go north. Oh, the human kingdom of Amalur is showing at the horizon.
So as long as if the GM is doing like second person role playing, then well, you're in the fucking closed system, right? It's just like it's not the book, it's the GM like controlling everything, right?
All right.
Also, that's where the rules come from, really, in those games.
Also, what I think
do you take the red pill or the blue pill, Mr. Max?
Also, what I think he called or closed or open just comes because of the medium, because the medium of role-playing games is narration. We all narrate what our characters do.
Yeah. Ideally.
I mean, ideally, but
yeah.
That's not like this thing like role-playing games tend to be more open game, and other
because we're
games
narrating them.
Game. I'm not against that. I think that's like the maybe one point I say, okay, maybe you have a point there, right? Just like I don't think it's essential. I don't think it's central to what role playing is, which is the role playing. But that's not the most offensive part of this video I found.
Okay.
I'll give him a pass on this one. Crispy say X2 is more of a closed game, rules for everything. That's true. That's a good example. Yeah. Dogs can follow instruction and obey rules, can't role play. Embodying the mind of someone else is a powerful expression of humanity. Yeah.
I'm still stuck on the idea of like just the title of the video, right? It's like somebody asked me for a good stout recommendation, and I pour them an IPA, and I'm like, well, the ABV and the darkness, it's not really the point of a stout. It's that it's made from wheat, and the IPA is also made from wheat. So here you go.
There you go.
I would get my ass kicked. I would get my ass kicked.
Tyler, just pour a Guinness, man. Just pour a fucking Guinness for a $5. That's make your life easy for everybody.
Just pour him some. He's not gonna know the difference anyway, so just pour him something.
Just pour a Guinness.
Right. Yeah.
Pour him some tap water. That's like so.
As long as he's having fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, or can I have a Beck, and you give me a Beck Zero, and say, alcohol is not well.
They're both made of wheat.
Wait, Tyler, if somebody asks for a beer and you give him a Corona, have you actually given him a beer?
No. I have to burn my American card because we make some fantastic beers, but our domestic factory beers are just piss water.
Oh, that's the same as everywhere, right?
Corona's Mexican. I don't drink alcohol, so I don't know.
Franciscana.
But or those people that instead of using wine in mass, they use grape juice.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
They play by different rules,
Instead of rice wine vinegar, I'll just use white vinegar. What could go wrong?
Exactly. All right, let's play this. Let's see. That's another great pause frame.
That's
I'm sure people can do this game with me as well, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. Right? Yeah.
I have an ugly face.
By the properties of
I'm
the
not
setting or the world that you're in. Role-playing games, of course, borrowed this whole concept from old war games, especially Kriegspiel, which was the first one to come up with the concept that anything may be attempted.
So, what makes role-playing different is that they're open game. But that comes from war game, really. So, it's like, which one is it, motherfucker? You get what I mean?
Since it comes from a war game, we don't have to role-play, right?
Exactly.
Depends on the Kriegspiel. Like old school Kriegspiel, you did need to roleplay basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really?
Well, like Max was saying earlier, you need to be able to get into the role of the opposing force, right? And this idea of anything can be attempted. Yeah, anything can be attempted that would be attempted by that character, by that army,
And you had this idea of a referee. That's where the kind of GM, right? That's where it came from, stuff like that. So the people would just make their move, and then the referee would adjudicate.
Mm-hmm.
But you get the point I was saying. Role playing are not special. What makes role playing special is not the fact that there's role playing, is the fact that they're open game. Like those other games that are not role playing game that are also open game, right? It's then that's not what distinguishes role playing game. it goes back to what distinguishes a role-playing game is the role-playing.
No, it's TUNIC. Don't you know, Mr. Max? It's TUNIC.
Yeah,
Still
it's
don't know what
TUNIC.
it is.
And
Still
you know,
don't
I'm
know
not
what
a
it
fan
is.
of wearing pants, but you know, so I'm on with the tunics kind of thing.
Just move to Scotland and wear a kilt.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, let's hear this.
Now,
guy.
what role-playing games did is they took that idea and they took it off the battlefield and began expanding it until it covered everything in reality. Now, there is a spectrum here when it comes to role-playing games in terms of openness.
Wait, hold
one
on.
end
Is
of the
that even
spectrum,
true?
you have things like
I-
freeform.
yeah.
Fucking
Yeah, it's
word.
actually
Okay,
true.
we
Yeah,
went
it's
from
true.
war games until it covers everything in reality. That's the
Well-
jump we're going with.
Well,
There's-
remember, Kriegspiel he's talking about, and he does a bad job at differentiating it, is the thing they used to give officers in Prussia in order to make them trained to issue commands. So they'd say, okay, you issue a command, I'm going to pretend to be your subordinate, and I'm going to interpret it how I'm going to probably view it as a subordinate on the battlefield, so you'll be at least prepared to what
Okay.
happens. That's the type of Kriegspiel he's
Oh.
talking about. He doesn't mean war games like 40k. So he gets a
No,
pass.
exactly. Like the modern wargaming, like as role playing evolved as a hobby, the modern wargaming also evolved as a hobby, and they left behind the role playing element, right? And we lean into that. That's the distinction happened there, right? Like people say, there's still like some dummies that say, oh no, role playing game or war game. Like, no, war game used to have role playing element, and some war game could still be played like that, but most wargaming nowadays left the role playing behind. Let's be honest here.
What
And even then, you still have a spectrum of players. Like some they like playing music when it's their turn. Like, oh, I have my Chaos Marines. Let me play my Chaos Marine music when it's my
Oh
turn.
no.
Like,
Oh no.
Phil's up
No
late.
feel.
I'm role playing as an orc when it's my turn. You say
Yeah.
Daka all the time, you know.
You're talking a Cockney
Walk.
accent, you shout.
Yeah.
You make
No, but
really
the-
stupid plays just for the hell of it.
And you know, and
No.
that's also like something that annoys me, right? Some people
Yeah.
think that role playing is talking with an accent.
Oh,
It's
God,
not.
yeah.
It has very little to do
role
with
playing.
it. Nope. But should
I
I
mean, it does
keep
help.
playing?
But let's play.
Yeah.
It I'm not even sure it does help. Sometimes it can hinder if you have like a hard time like keeping it up, or if it distracts you, or if you like make put too much effort into it, it's gonna distract, right? It's about fucking getting in the
It
head
really
of your
depends on the accent, you know. Like I used to play a character who was based on Harvey Weinstein. This is for Vampire. Come on. Well, come on, wait, and he
You don't have
did
to put an accent for that.
what?
You don't have to put a different accent for that.
I
no?
didn't, but just doing a Jewish Brooklyn accent really helped because I was
Oh.
like, okay, I know who this guy is because it's
He's from Brooklyn. I get into his mindset now.
I think the accents can work if you accidentally end up doing an accent. Like what I've noticed, and there's probably an interesting linguistics thing to look into here because people lean into their native accents more when they're very comfortable, when they're very in a flow state. My fellow Okies get very Yank Southerny with whenever, and I'm like, man, we're in a fantasy setting and we're all talking like this after the end of 30 minutes, and it's kind of weird. I can't really see a dwarf anymore. I'm seeing my in-laws, and I'm like, well, that's not our fault. That's we don't realize it until somebody else points it out.
you know, Tyler. Irish people have three accents. One they speak with foreigners, to be clear. One they speak with each other, and one they have when they're drunk,
Yeah.
which is the real accent.
You're not wrong either. Right?
I'm pretty sure I work as a bouncer in Dublin. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. All right. Let me play that video.
Games, which are very much about immersing you in the world. And the rules are just there to help facilitate resolving situations rather than to guide players into doing this or that. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have today more and more games that are adding closed elements back into role-playing games, which restrict the player's actions and kind of guide the...
Again,
Maybe a
right?
tricky
Oh,
game.
what make role playing different is that they're open game. But now, like but Wargame also open game, and also role-playing game can also be closed game. So how is that the fact that being open game is what make role-playing different? Like, you know, like it's like making an argument, and it's going after like it twice. Like,
but Max,
driving him insane.
But Max, he said it's on a spectrum.
Yeah, like
so that means he's absolved of all of his bullshit.
Yeah.
Can I be absolved of my bullshit?
Yeah, accept the spectrum, Mr. Max. We will put you on the spectrum whether you like it or not.
I am.
Well, when people say it's on a spectrum, that's just an excuse for like dialectic thinking, which is basically take something true, take something false, combine them together. Ta-da!
Yeah, exactly. Well, but you know, you get my point, right? You say like, oh, this is the one thing that make role playing different, but it doesn't make it different because those other games also do that, and also some games don't do that, right? Some like, man,
I even like I want to give him a point because he said, right, that oh yeah, role-playing games, it's about immersing yourself in the world. And I feel like yeah, that's right. But if you read the role-playing rules, like none of the rules help you with immersing yourself. It helps you with like resolving conflict. Immersing yourself is like the role-play part. But the whole premise is like removing roleplay from role-playing games in this video. So is he aware of it? And like, because he is basically saying that he's aware of like immersing yourself is the core concept of role-playing. But then it's on a spectrum. Ignores it anyways.
Well, because it's on a spectrum again. Spectrum is just an excuse for magical thinking for these people.
Right.
Also, if you're having fun, it's all valid.
Yeah, that too. There's a lot of contradictory speak in here. This is a very messy video. You know, 6 minutes, we've done over an hour of content on because like every sentence he says is so messy and brings in a whole new can of worms.
You know the worst part, like this guy script this video, right? I'm pretty sure like he's
right.
I go live and I talk off the dome. I don't have script. I don't fucking have notes, right? I'm just like, oh, I walk my dog and I record a video. I'm just talking like, you know, so my video can be messy. Sometimes I contradict myself. But you know, I'm just talking off the dome. This guy like script his fucking thing, and he didn't fucking realize that he's gonna say one thing, and then like he's gonna say the contrary. He's gonna say the opposite twice right after. Right. This thing is the one kind of differentiation of a role-playing game. But here's one case where it doesn't, and another case where it doesn't. Right? Just like, well, so maybe your argument is kind of wrong.
My question as an editor if I was editing this, you know, for work, I would go, so what? What's your point, right? Do you know, is this video just an excuse to not roleplay? It's what it's sounding like, right? But there's also the issue that he doesn't bring up with immersion, which we often hear with people that overuse that term. I'm not as against it as Shauner was, but it's, as Shauner said, immersion is like a side effect of roleplay. It's not the goal. And if you're immersed in your character and in the world, that's great, but it doesn't mean anything unless you're doing stuff in that world.
Yeah, it needs to. Right? You need to express it. Yeah.
Because if you're just immersed, then you're just a floating head, which is it's an issue.
Like people don't
understand.
It
can
like,
be a bystander. Yeah.
People use immerse, and I think they use that as being like in a flow state, right? Like you know, you can be like in a flow state in different activity, right? You can be like, you know, you're doing like you're doing some like letter working or whatever. I don't know, like, it's a fucking weird example. I don't know where I come from that. But like, and then you don't see time pass and you're really into your work and stuff like that. You're in a flow state, right? Or you're immersed in your work. If I were to use immerse in the role-playing sense, what I mean is like being like, I start to see the world as my character. I'm there in the fiction. I see the world through the eyes of my character. I think as my character. My emotional state is aligned with my character. That for me is what immersion look like in the context of a role-playing game.
I'm using my imagination. That's the muscle I'm flexing to imagine what is he's describing something, but the description is not everything. I have to imagine it, how it feels like to receive that information.
But also, like when I see the world of the game, right? The world of the game, I'm not seeing that from outside. as a disembodied entity. No, I'm saying that from the head of my character, from the eyeball of my fucking character.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the world, right? That's what immerse mean, right?
And reaching out and touching things, right? So,
yes, exactly.
Doing stuff in the world.
Touching grass.
I kind of view it differently. I view it as, for me, role-playing is expression. And expression is role-playing. You can't role-play if you don't express what you would do in that situation as that character. Expression is role-play, and role-play is expression in this type of game. Immersion is the result of it for the player, and engrossment is the result of it for the game master and the rest of the table. Because the game master isn't immersed, the game master is engrossed and engrossing in the situation.
Yeah, staying in characters.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, wait. So you're making the difference between role-playing and immersion. Like you can role-play without being immersed. Do I hear that right?
I mean, you can be immersed in a movie. I mean, can you roleplay without being immersed?
No,
but I think it will have to have an effect on you.
What I'm saying, like being immersed in the movie, is not the same thing as being immersed in role-playing, right? Being immersed in role-playing for me is a specific thing, right? You could be immersed in the game, in a game, even in a role-playing game, you could be immersed in it without role-playing, right?
You know,
it's like we're not necessarily linked. But if you immerse in role-playing, it's a specific thing.
You know, to me, being immersed in a roleplay is probably exactly the same as being immersed when writing, from a character's perspective.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the exact same feeling, but for me at least, I don't know if it's other people. This is highly personal dependent. But
well, you know, like
me,
you know, like when you see, like, and I've never been hypnosed myself, right? But like from what you see sometimes when you see like a movie and stuff like that, and you see like somebody being hypnosed, right? And then like they go revive or relive, I guess would be the better word, a situation that have been in, and then like then they block and they forget, and then you see like the therapist asking them question like, oh, and then like, so what do you see now? And then describe, and then where you're going, like you see this person is reliving this experience, is immersed in his past self, right? For me, like in role-playing game, there's a similarity to that, right? Like you see the world through the eyes of your character, and you're living in that world through this character, right? That's when you're immersed in the sense of role-playing. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think immersion is the defining part of roleplay. I think it's a consequence of actually expressing yourself and the effect it has on you. It's a feedback thing.
I will
I would agree with that, but like also like the word immersion like is too vague and too used.
A little, yeah.
Like it's used in a lot of different way that are, you know, like it's useful for different thing, right? Like it means a lot of things. So it get a bit confusing. It's not great for the
I'll just parrot Shauner and say role-playing is way simpler than people put it out to be. You say what your character's doing and where they're at.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously, you can add more to that, but to the
we'll talk about that later.
To the anti-role players though, it doesn't have to be this. It's a spectrum. It's nuanced. It's this. It's that. One person can be immersed while another person.
People that don't want to role play, but they want to pretend they are, right?
Right. It's it's not.
Well, it's on a spectrum. What I'm doing is still role playing. I'm a level 1 fighter.
And you know, my point has always been, why pretend when it's easy to do, right? You know, you could just do it the right way. It's really not that hard.
For most people, yeah.
For easy.
For most people, it's pretty easy. Some people, it's not.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's the part of. I feel like so many players out, especially like a man like QuestingBeast, who has built a reputation. He does not want to look like a fool. So you never want to put yourself in a position where you could be humbled. So either you accept that, oh man, I was completely wrong. Let me rethink this. Let me join a couple role-playing games and try out the hard way of role-playing and give it a shot and like talk with the players about like, let's talk with Mr. Max after the half-hour session, what he thought about it, and like, you know, and then you can evolve your thought. But if you have your walls up, like I'm a man of reputation, I have 90,000 subscribers, people listen to me about role-playing games, I have to have the final say. If I don't, why would they listen to me? And therefore, your identity is now in what's it called, like in turmoil, in question.
Yeah.
I see that so much with YouTubers.
Yeah, your ego is in danger. All right, let me play that.
The action of the gameplay towards one particular theme or genre or things like that. Now, even some of these games that have some closed elements are not 100% closed. They still have elements of openness. So fundamentally, I would characterize them as open games. This element of openness was truly revolutionary and allowed for new experiences in gaming that were not possible before.
Except in Kriegspiel, which were like.
So yeah, he contradicts himself again. You're totally right.
But the viewer who doesn't know will not notice, right?
If I close a door, can it only be a little bit closed? If I open a door, is it only a little bit open, or is the door open? If I ask you to close the door and it doesn't latch, and then you know it doesn't latch, and you come back over here and go, I closed the door, and then the house is 20 degrees overnight, and I go, the fuck is going on? I told you to close the door, and they're like, well, on the spectrum of things, I made it more closed than it was.
Yeah.
You know, I seriously know a defense lawyer whose whole stick was arguing that consent is on a spectrum.
Yeah,
Make of that what you will.
That gets
if she didn't say no, it meant yes, right?
You know, like AOC says, sometimes no just mean that you need to find another way.
I mean, it depends. Like, no, that doesn't mean no.
Right,
no
right.
means no.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I think people with half a brain realize that.
Right. But you know, it's my point where it's like either it's closed or it's not, right? You know, either there's.
I don't agree there because you can play a game like Vampire, and Vampire is a very closed game. Like, you can't walk in the sun, you can't do something you're compelled to do, but it's still a game, you know. Like,
but you can walk in the sun. You just suffer the consequences for it.
Yeah, well,
in a game like his, what he means by this is, no, you can't, or it'll be are you sure you want to do that? You know, these rules will come into effect, and. Oh no, that's not a good idea. I don't think you want to do that. You'll have the.
I'll give a better example for Vampire.
Shut up! I'm walking into the sun, and I'm just tell me what happens.
Okay, I'll give a better example for Vampire. You can't hit your sire that you're level 3 blood bonded to. You can't do anything against them. Like, you just can't.
But does Vampire the Masquerade have Rule 0?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it does. But
then
anyway,
because if
that's another fucking point, right? Like, you know, I'm okay with saying like, yes, okay, role-playing game give you more degree of freedom, which you would call like they're more open than regular game. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is when he's saying like this is the one defining element of role-playing game.
Right, that too, yeah.
But it also, and it's novel and stuff like that, but it also came from those other games before, right? It's like, well, which one is it?
Yeah,
is it role-playing game? Or does it come from the Kriegspiel? Is it novel from role-playing game, or did it exist before in the Kriegspiel, right? It cannot be both, but he's saying both, right? And it doesn't like fucking realize it. Like, you know when you talk about like D&D slop content, that's what it is, right? And people like fucking slurp it up and they don't realize, right?
It's
like
nutritionally deficient.
Value. Yeah, exactly.
It's like eating a pizza, but you put it in a blender. Why?
I'm not accusing him of anything here, and I don't think so, but it is almost the way an AI writes, where it will write itself in circles, right? Like I'm serious, like if you've ever used AI, it writes it will start saying something, and then another paragraph, it'll say the same thing, but worded slightly different.
Well, I think...
hang on.
Or the opposite.
Well, no, but
Tyler, the
opposite, I think AI does it because it just draws upon a lot of articles, and a lot of articles just are written that way. So AI is writing like most idiots do.
That's what I was about to say, right? Like, I'm not accusing him of being like writing like having a script written by AI.
No.
But AI is trained on that slop, right? On that because that's what more like mediocre content, right? So
that the reason why so many AI are complete trash is they draw from Reddit, and Reddit itself is a platform to make it as circularized as possible.
Yes, Reddit, the home of this intellectual slop.
Yeah.
All right, let's play. If he's gonna finally tell us about the TUNIC fucking principle, which was in this fucking thumbnail, right?
I was looking for his tunic.
Hey, it's an acronym.
In an open-ended game like an RPG, you can have these truly free choices that have a lasting impact on the game that neither the game designer nor the game master could anticipate.
What is the
So
difference?
if this is the feature that really sets role-playing games.
Choice.
What? Sorry?
What's the difference between a free choice and a truly free choice?
Stop being philosophical.
Okay. Sorry.
enough. We
I
don't
am
have
being
5 hours
pedantic,
to talk about
And
libertarianism.
in my view,
versus
this is
determinism.
what any game session should really be focusing on. This takes us back to the principle that I mentioned before, TUNIC. TUNIC is an acronym, and it stands for Time Until Next Impactful Choice. And it's something that I have running in my head, at least subliminally, pretty much all the time that I'm running a game. This is this.
Time until next impactful choice, which I talked a lot about, like the importance of choice in role-playing game, right? That's something I talk a lot about. The players need to be able to make meaningful choice, mechanically meaningful choice. You need to have rules to support that, but also like meaningful choice in the sense meaningful for your character, meaningful for the story or what's happening in the session and stuff like that, right? Choice is essential in role-playing game. That's one of the essential elements.
I think about it. Yep.
When you say time until next important choice, I guess that's a TUNIC, and it's a timer that he always has in his mind. Like then how open is the game is, right? Just like okay, no, like you have to make a choice now. Like I'm gonna.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was trying to like play this scenario out inside my head. So like let's play it out as you have the first 5 minutes of your session, and every 5 minutes, your TUNIC timer is 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes without an impactful choice. Okay, I need something to happen, right? Let's say it that. So you're in the tavern for 5 minutes. Everybody's introducing each other. Let's say that's impactful, right? Characters meeting each other can be very impactful. It can be, when you have interesting characters. Okay, now they're just ordering beers and they're sort of stalling for time and like nothing's really happening. 5 minutes pass. And oh crap, something interesting needs to happen. A brick flies through the window. Okay, now what? It's like, okay, then 5 minutes somehow pass when like I don't understand this, right? This doesn't make sense.
No, it's not that it's a brick flies through the window. What do you do?
Yeah, sorry, I can't even think in that way. You're right, yeah, it's
and like the what do you do? That like also like something I wanted to say, like when you say like the game will open, right? How open are they when the player always asks, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I
order a
beer? They don't feel like the game is open, right? Because they always have to ask the GM if they can do something, and then the GM say yes or no. So it's very close for the player. It might be open for the GM, but it's very close for the player because can I jump on the table?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
you can jump on the table, or you could slide under the table. And if you slide under the table, you're going to get a +2 to your AC. If you go over the table, you get high ground, and it'll be easier to hit.
Yeah. Is there a mug of beer around?
Let me roll on a table. Hold on.
Wait, you mean a mug of beer instead of like a glass?
Oh no, nobody got.
Well, let me roll how many people are attending the bar.
Nobody got beer.
Seven.
They only have wine glasses. Everybody, this bar only serves wine.
Okay, so it's a wine bar.
Actually, it's not a beer. Like they have it in like skeins, so you have to look like for skein.
Yeah, no, it's like, but so like this all open thing, but like also like the TUNIC, right? Like this timer thing. How does that feel like? It feel like unorganic.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Is your players should just organically be making interesting decisions, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you should avoid putting them in situations where they can't. I mean, nothing's like small. Like, you're in this waiting room. Fuck off.
I can't think of a situation where I would need to think of this TUNIC system because this basically just describes like any session you've been in where you go, things are kind of stalling. I should do something. And hopefully all of the people at your table are thinking that at the same time.
Yeah. Right? And if you have proactive player, you won't need that kind of timer.
Exactly.
And
right?
if you have that kind of timer, you're not in an open game. You're a very like GM-driven game.
Yeah.
And openness is supposed to be like the defining characteristic of those games.
And just pragmatically, the more pressure you put on the GM to make these interesting choices pop up over and over again, you either put all of the pressure on prep work so you can prepare a bunch of these choices, or you put all the pressure on just the mental stack immediately. Yeah, you roll on what kind of glassware they have in the bar. Now,
roll on the impact table.
Yeah.
You know, I'm reminded that what. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, either way, you're putting a bunch of pressure on the GM, and that's how you get people going, "Oh, I'm burnt out. I don't want to run this anymore. I'm done." And then,
something impactful has to happen. What could I do?
Yeah, and then you're going like, "Geez, I've had to spend for this 4-hour session where they didn't really do much. I had to prep for also 4 hours," and it's like, well, or you could have just let the players make their own choices, from scratch.
Yeah, it's let go of the leash. Let them
you
run
can still
for
be
it.
unsatisfied if you let the players make the decisions. It's not cure-all.
Yeah.
Just saying. It might help, but it's not a guarantee to help. So.
Yeah, this is true as well.
Well, that's also where you have to pick your player.
Yeah.
It's like you have a dog, or like maybe not a dog, maybe a cat. Like you have
herding
a pet.
Cats. There's a genreism. There we go.
Sure. But you have a pet, and it lived with you in your apartment for 5 years because you live in a skyscraper on the 22nd floor. It never left the house. But now you moved in the suburban area, and they can leave the house, and the cat's completely lost what to do. Like there's so many options opening up. It doesn't know how to interact with the environment.
Decision.
That's what it feels like with players. Like, you fucking locked them into your apartment playing this stupid campaign where you had full control over everything, creating everything, and it still fucking sucked. Now I can finally the choice to like, what do you do without you telling me, without you prompting me in the first place? And I'm like, I'm arrested, like suddenly I have so much choice. What should I do? I don't know. I'm overloaded now because I never even had the chance in the first place to flex this muscle of
That's
free
why I'm
will.
so grateful that we have a guy like Rick, right, from 28mm RPG, right, that's willing, and he gave a lot of time doing training sessions like that, because like so many players have been trained to play wrong, right, and then you have to break those habits and like that, and obviously I'm not the guy to do it because I'm not very nice. And I have very little patience.
You're the opposite. You're out there. Hey, want to go through the forest and find out what happens? Like I've never been there. Well, I'm not tolerating. Like if you don't have free will, I'm not tolerating you.
No, exactly. If you don't have this main character energy, I don't want to.
Yes.
Go learn to be a human being and then come back.
Yes, prove to me that you're human first before I play with you.
You're
That's Mr. Max.
The stern kung fu master in the Jackie Chan films that kicks the new student out and says, you have to go train for 5 years before you can learn here. You're not ready yet.
No, just like just like I'm a busy guy, especially for a guy that doesn't have a job, right? So
I suffer no fool. First you have like literally sit in the raid for like 2 months begging to get entrance, like show some willpower. Like, okay, maybe I play with him a little bit. He can carry like fucking 20-liter vase up the mountain to fill it up with water, for me. And that's already also, training. He doesn't even know it yet, but we're playing, Yeah,
it's also like, to be fair, also I have my group now that I'm happy with, and I have like my fill of gaming. I'm not a guy that want to game either like 6 times a week, right? I have also have other hobbies and shit like that, so there's that. But yeah, no, like Rick is great for that. And I miss him sometimes. Like he should come back to play with us more. Like he's been busy lately or something. He's been missing. Rick, come back to us.
We need you.
We need
send the 4D signal into the clouds.
Yeah, we need like some people to do like a role play rehab.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't find it that hard to make people role play, but that's kind of on me because I actually do like to be really involved as a game master. I'm
the opposite.
I'm all over the place. I'm like, okay, I like giving direction. to the game, not by saying, "Oh, this happens." I'm like, okay,
like
this is
the last ultimate no prep challenge we did. I got to be the game master because we just like roll randomly on stream, right? Basically, if you never watched those shows, so I got, and especially I have a good player. I just want to get out of the way. You know, they can fucking they. It's like, you want to talk about an open game? That's an open game. They can do their shit.
I don't think I think he can be a very good player, but if the game doesn't have direction and you don't know how things are and doesn't feel anyway, it's very difficult to get attached.
Yeah, they had a premise, they had character, right? So they interacted amongst each other, and then we went for them from them.
And
it was a very fun game. You should if you didn't watch it,
I should watch it.
Yeah, you should watch this last no prep challenge that we did on Saturday.
Absolutely, it's a good watch. Chilling. Yeah, it was.
Not because of me, obviously. It's Phil and Crispy, like that carried the whole fucking thing. They're amazing guy. But that's also sometimes you roll as a GM, like knowing to, step back and let those guys, like like a GM, you're not supposed to be the star of the show. You're not there to prove how smart you are or good at scripting you are. You're not there to make the player.
Let me show you what my next harebrained scheme is.
No, but
it's TUNIC time.
No, but I think you do need to have NPCs that are as interesting as the players, because if not, it's just the players interacting with each other, which over the long run can be like, kind of.
Oh yeah, but those are one shot. Those are one shot, and also like I like, there's always a bit of like a tension between I like having tension between my character, I guess, right? So they carry the show amongst them, and I'm just like pushing them when it needs to, right?
I don't know. I need to have NPCs that are interesting. If not, I'm not gonna like to GM. I'm like,
so are you doing that because you don't have interesting players?
Yeah.
Well,
do you need interesting characters, NPCs, if you have interesting players at the table?
Well, this is gonna sound stupid. I have interesting NPCs because I don't know how interesting my players will be. At the worst case scenario, but best case scenario, if there are interesting players and they're interacting with interesting NPCs, it's even better.
I was going to say, I think it's more, this is a more is more scenario to an extent. You don't want to be playing dolls with yourself as a GM, but
and you don't want to overshadow the player.
Right. You don't want to make your
sweet spot.
Anyway,
I'm really like the player should be the one. Like I'm gonna react to what they do. They should run the show, right? And I'm a very I'm a very zero prep guy. When we do those ultimate no prep challenge, that's what it's about, right? Like, I didn't even know going there. We roll for who's gonna be a GM, what is gonna be the setting, and now we try to what's gonna be the tone. I would be the GM. The setting is gonna be Thanksgiving, and the tone's gonna be horror.
Well,
all right. I would say it should be organic, right? Some NPCs are just characters, and some people are not interesting, but some people are also interesting. So I think you should have
some NPCs are just plot device, right?
Right. Sometimes the barkeep is just a barkeep, and they're just there to pass your character a note. That's all they're there for. They don't have some interesting backstory or whatever. They just do that. But sometimes the player characters like hound this barkeep, and they keep talking to them, and if you keep the barkeep boring and they don't move on, then it's like, okay, this is stall. So I need to do something interesting with this character, and
I'm just fine if somebody's boring. Just find the reason for them to stop talking with the characters.
Maybe this barkeep is fucking unhinged and like a mild bit of annoyance, a mild bit of push from these customers. They break a bottle and they're like, "I told you I'm not answering you anymore."
It's also like who the fuck who the fuck would do that, right? Just say like you're gonna talk to like those imagine you go to the grocery store and you start.
What the fuck you mean? Who did? People do it all the time. I work as a bouncer. People can't stop talking to me for some stupid reason.
A good game master is
when you find a reason not to talk to him. You say like, "Oh man, like I need to go do a round," right? That's what you do, right? Just like, I need to go check that thing. I need, you find
it depends. If you're static, you can't say I gotta go. It's like I gotta watch this door and these guys are smoking.
But also, people like keep talking to you all the time. They're not main character.
I definitely have.
Let's be honest. I've worked with the bouncer as well. I know it is.
Also, by the way, Max, to me, it's not enough to have like a a setting tone. I need to have a team, because if I don't have a team, I can't make. I feel like I can't make choices I'm happy with. It needs to have a team.
Interesting.
It needs to have, this is about. I mean, this is what I. Yeah, THEME.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
It needs to have,
TEAM.
no, it needs to have like, this is what I want to say, and this is what I want to say about it. Because if I have something and I don't have anything to say about it, I can't really express myself in a coherent way. And if I can't do that,
in a longer campaign, sometimes like I don't agree with that. That's what I'm gonna say, because I don't like. I'm not trying to make a lecture to my player, but sometimes I'm gonna be like, this is the theme I want to explore, right? Like that's like it need to be like formulated as a question more than a statement, right? I'm not trying to tell you something. I want to explore that thing and figure out with you. I think it's more honest in that way. I like that in a longer game.
What happens to a monarchical society where the king dies? That's the theme. Like the king is dead.
That's the subject. That's the subject. The question is, what's the theme about it? What do you want to say about it? Okay. And I think NPCs are a good way to explore the theme, because there's a conflict. And
yeah, but I'm not. I don't agree with like trying to lecture your player. I'm not trying to say something to my player. I'm there.
I'm not trying to say something.
I'm very like equalitarian on that, right? I'm a very like I got a communistic approach to role-playing game.
Sharing the bottle around the circle. I get it.
No, I'm a capitalist overlord.
Pay for the bottle.
This is I'm the captain of industry here. I'm the mofo who knows what to do. Shut the fuck. I don't feel like I want to tell the players what to do, but I do feel I want to say something with the NPCs. I have, because the NPCs need to have a conflict going inside.
I see
I
what
get it. I got as well.
Yeah, I see what you.
And I can do it for a one shot. I can do it for a one shot too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, like there you go. Space Rosie says you need to be a game, not a pulpit. That's how I feel, to be honest.
But I see what Leo's saying. NPCs should have opinions. They should have things that are happening. Right? It's not necessarily preachy to have a character that goes, something happens and there's a like.
No, the character has opinions.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I'm not gonna run a game like with saying telling my player to demonstrate my player that communism is bad and we shall live in a no. If I want to explore the theme of communism, I'm gonna do it honestly, as we're gonna try to figure out the logical implication of that, right?
And you don't want I think it's different.
I'm gonna try to remove my bias from it, right?
I think the difference right before, because we're getting a little off track because his video is just kind of not fucking there. But it's
finish the video and have a discussion afterward. What do you?
Right.
Let's do that.
I think what's important here is kind of askew to both of these issues of. You don't want to make an NPC that you fall so much in love with as a GM that you feel the need to do the Oblivion Fallout 3 thing and go and suck in the player characters and whatever you're doing right now, stop, because this guy's telling you his life story. That's the risk to me with NPCs that you really love and are really interesting. But if you can resist that and you can make an interesting NPC and he's just a guy that sits there, and if the player characters never interact with them, so be it. I think they're great.
I'll tell you more about that later. Let's get back to the fucking video.
Yeah, I wanted to make a point about the TUNIC still, the time until. It's
mind-boggling. Yeah, it's
fucking time until next impactful choice. It's great, but already his premise is he gives the choice, and I don't think he even realizes that. The way what I'm thinking about is soft pushes and hard pushes. Okay, I just let my players do what they want. I think about, let's do a soft push, and at some point I think okay, they had enough soft pushes and there's still nothing big happening, or they're trying to teeter. Oh, do I this? Do I do that? Let's plan. Let's strategize. Fine, it's time for a hard push. Something is shaking up all of the events. And I see how they handle this now. And with this, I implement the rhythm. So I'm not fucking putting a gun on the player's head, like, do something. No, they have enough room to express themselves, but if they do nothing, bad shit will happen. Hopefully, it's interesting.
That's a good point, on, because like if you have like proactive player, right? Basically, like every round, they're making some sort of choice, right? Like, and
yes,
and making a choice can take more than one round as well, right? Something like making a choice, sometimes it's a long process, right? You will have like the way you describe the TUNIC thing, it's almost like, oh no, this happened. How do you react to this? And now like, oh okay, now it's the turn. Now it's the turn. We react to this, and we solve that choice, and we make the choice, and then we're gonna spend like 5 rounds acting on the choice that we made, right? And that's how fucking life is, right? Like sometimes making choice, you have consideration to make, and in a role playing game, that's where the juice is for me, right? That's like like for me, like I talk about it in a video like when I was walking the dog at some point, like recently, like it's like sometimes the making the choice part is more interesting than the enacting on the choice, right? And especially especially when the choice is not about like, oh, we need to fight that guy. It's not about the how, but it's about the what should we do, right? Like
it's
like,
about
So that's why I like the moral gray and stuff like that, and I like the situation where like, well, I have principle that I hold as a character that are in conflict there, and now I have to make a choice about that, and the choice is like something that it's conflict inside of me. Right?
Well,
that's what I love.
Choices are interesting because they represent values. If there were no values, there was nothing to choose because you can't have everything. You got to decide what you want. So
yes,
I think
and if it's just like a simple calculation of like, oh, if I go with this guy, I'm gonna get more money than if I go with that guy, right? Then, well, it's not really a choice.
every choice I made in a video game had a quest. I just chose for the loot. I didn't give a shit. I said, yeah, I really like this, but in my mind I did this, but I did the other thing just to get a fucking loot.
Like often, when I say about choice, I often say like meaningful, non-obvious choice. Can I make an acronym of that? No, that. What would be like, Tyler? You're the writer. You're the technical writer. What would be a good acronym?
You do the
meaningful, non-obvious choice. That's your task. So we can have a principle as well.
Sure, yeah.
No, you don't have to do that on the spot.
Yeah, no, I was trying to think if I could. I can't on the spot. But you bring up a good point. He doesn't once mention that. Yes, in all of these other war games and Kriegsspiele and these other things, sorry for my butchery of the German language, by the way.
It's okay.
You get a pass. I can give it.
All right.
No, you get a pass. Nobody kills.
Sure, it works too.
You take technically on the role of these generals or war bands or whatnot, but do they have? Are you practicing those war bands' values? Are you practicing those generals' values? That's what's important about role playing. You have a character, yes, but your character has stuff that they believe in and things.
That was the theme of my last video about you should be the slave trader, right?
Yeah.
Just like.
Well, it's not just values.
I'm putting good content out there. You should watch it, guys. Really,
you should. I need to catch that one.
Jeez.
I saw the title and was like, let me play World of Warcraft for the moment. I'll come back to this.
Yeah, I should watch it. I'm painting a lot. Also, the characters, don't just have values. They also have mental processes. They have their own way of thinking, which is more difficult to emulate.
Yes.
Because that's more epistemic and it's technical than just like, okay, he wants this, he wants honor.
Right, exactly.
Well,
that's the baseline, right? That's
people are very people are driven by their vice more by their virtue, right? Like that's something like what?
Some are. I mean,
most people are.
Most,
I'm a very straight up guy, right? Like I'm trying to be like very like rigid. I'm very rigid, and I'm very like I'm trying to do the right thing. I always say like, do what's right, don't do what's easy or convenient, right? That's how I live for. But the reason I do that is because I'm very prideful, and I I have this ego of being being the guy that do the right thing all the time, right? Just like, but it's pride that drives me. I know that. But
doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, kind of deal.
Exactly. Yeah, doing the right thing because like I got I'm not a great guy. Let me play that video before we go.
Especially important near the beginning of the game. I want to give the players an important choice that will have a long-term impact. For example, most recently I was running the Waking Willoughby Hall with my local group, and I gave them a choice right away. They had entered the manor, and I had the thieves.
Is that an adventure?
Yes. He's running.
So
he
like
runs
an adventure book with like things to do.
There's a whole nother can of worms. Yeah, we don't have we don't have enough time to bring that up. Holy shit! I want that to be that should be a whole separate. It's a whole separate video I have planned. Anyways, it could be a stream, which is how do you do adventure books right? Because there is.
That's actually very interesting. That's very interesting. Yes.
If you want to talk about that,
so I pointed out for the viewer, because if you listen to this, it was like very fast sentence. I missed it when I watched it.
Right.
Now I looked over it twice. Like that's a completely different concept of playing a role-playing game with an adventure book attached to it.
Right. Yeah. It's two.
Chief of Sinner is very right there. Well, I would say like you end up down going to 2D play, satisfying your inner torture witch writer itch. Yeah, I think like you say 1D 3D. I think that's very 2D when you want to do like the be the writer. Like because 1D you don't even fucking get to that level. You just want to make jokes.
Not you specifically.
You when you do like the 1D stuff, you want to scratch your stand-up comedian itch.
Yeah.
Why would anybody want to be a stand-up comedian? That's beyond me.
Hey.
I used to do comedy. I used to appear on TV as a comedian.
It's to have fun, Leo. It's to have
fun. Exactly.
No, stand-up
that's
isn't
something
fun.
I'm gonna do one time in my life. I'm gonna go do an open mic, do a stand-up routine.
It sucks. I used to do stand-up. I even appeared on TV a few times. It's shit.
I assume I won't like it, but it's just like a challenge to myself. But anyway, I think like when I post the video here because he said like, even if you listen to what he says, he said like, and I gave my player this choice.
Yes, it's something for you to give, not for them to take necessarily.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not those.
Exactly. It's not something for them like
landscape
and consider. Yeah.
Who made? Somebody in the comments made a comparison to dogs earlier. It really is Pavlovian, isn't it?
Yes.
Do the right thing, and then you'll get another choice player, and then.
What if like consider your player having this choice and they come up with a different choice that you are not prepared for,
which he explicitly mentioned earlier was part of the beauty of RPGs.
And I think he's going to bring it up again, like, oh yeah, they could have chosen something else too.
They could have chosen something that's outside the adventure path.
He's gonna say like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Yeah, exactly. That's what he's gonna say there, right? Just like,
it's emergent, but
that's in the verbing there. Like, I gave my player a choice. I have a cat problem behind me. If you can see, like, he's drawing the curtain open.
I have noticed, yep.
Yes. I don't know why he's doing that. He just want to fucking fuck with me.
I've had a dog problem.
I don't think the cat thinks that far ahead, Mr. Max. I'm gonna...
But I'm convinced my cat has seen everything till the heat of the universe.
Yep. The cat is just role-playing its own life, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. The cat is
all
being
9
immersed,
of them.
Okay?
Yeah.
All 9 of them.
They're in the open system. They're making their own choice.
Exactly. Yes. Regardless of what choices you give them, they will... Yeah, be a cat. Maybe you should be a cat in role-playing.
Hey, that's a game I've been wanting to run a long time. I want to do a cat one-shot. Yeah. Cats the musical. I want to do a Cats the musical one-shot.
Holy shit, guys. At GameCon, that's like a gaming convention in Dublin. There was a game called Murder on the Orient Express. Now, I signed up to it because a bunch of people I know did. The game is about playing fucking crows on the Orient Express. Crows, C-R-O-W.
Yeah, a murder of crows.
I get it.
And it was the gimmick. And the whole game was there for a pun. And it was so stupid. You go from, like car train to car train. And we're crows. We can fucking fly. And we stay in this place.
The train.
You stay inside?
It was so bad. No, I mean, I just played the game the way the guy wanted to.
Right?
And
it's a good pun. Yeah. People fucking love puns, right? I think it's like one of the lowest form of humor, but people love puns.
Well, that's because you don't know any good puns, Mr. Max. You have to expand your horizon.
I'm sure you have like plenty of good German puns.
Well, that's your opinion.
Those must be very fun. Let's play the video.
I just want to have fun, Mr. Max.
run out of the forest nearby, being chased by a giant heading towards the manor where the players were hiding. So right away, they have a choice. What are you going to do? You could try and lock the doors and force the thieves to do something else. You could let them in and help them hide and keep them safe from the giant. There's a whole bunch of options that are possible. Now, it turns out...
Stop a second.
It has to stop so quickly. We can't go 5 seconds without having to stop him.
No, look, Mr. QuestingBeast, Ben Stilton, whatever. I think the word you're looking for is agency.
Yep.
And you only give people agency on breaks. Like, oh, this is an agency moment.
Right,
no,
right.
It's time to give my players agency. It's
let me
3 o'clock.
Let me reframe this situation too. Giants chasing after the players. He says they now have a choice. I say they are now put in a situation.
Yeah.
What they choose, they could choose to do nothing about that situation, which is that a choice? You know, technically, right? Yeah, it's the 3 p.m. time for your agency, right? You know.
Yes, Holly.
Could they have done nothing before that? And this is why you get stuck in these stupid mental images of like your character stuck in their Final Fantasy sprite that's just standing still while the enemy animates towards them, and you're like, can I like? I'd like to run. Can I run away from the guy? I'm not just gonna stand here and get my head mashed in.
Yeah,
Well,
like
you
what's
can
happening at the same
because they have a
time.
higher movement speed than you, so you can never escape.
Yeah, or the same.
Just
So
faster,
you're
though.
just
Yes.
doing this forever.
My question is like, do you think that's how he presented the situation to his player? Like, oh, the thief is running away from the giant, and you can do this or you can do that.
Yes, I'm pretty sure, like the way he presents this in the video, I imagine him asking, do you lock the door or let
Or
them
do you
in?
let the thief in?
Yeah,
right?
because he doesn't even believe his players that they can come up with different choices.
Yeah, but
That's what he has trained on his table.
his
Right,
player
so
did come up with a different choice that he didn't expect. He's gonna talk about it next.
Right, so
Roleplay?
but just to summarize quick, for this guy, agency is the exception, not the rule.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though I throw him a bone, I do believe it's interesting to set up scenarios and situations where your agency is gonna matter. I think it's okay to stylize for that, but this mofo isn't doing that.
You know where the system is also being used? In prison. You have 1 hour time to get outside to train on the courtyard.
Public schools.
Yes.
Yeah, the same thing as prison.
Like, think
Yeah,
about
arguably
it. Like,
worse
really,
because
like,
The army.
if QuestingBeast is listening to this, it's not a joke. Just like, give yourself some time to ruminate on it. It sounds like a prison system, man.
Well, it sounds like the army, actually.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah, but like, you know,
Lots of flattering comparisons here.
Army, you know, it's at least supposed to be exciting.
It's 90,000
Yeah.
subscribers, you know, it's like, fine. Take your subscribers and eat it.
let's play and see how this choice that he gave to his player, you can lock the door or let the thief in. Let's see how they reacted to that and how great it was.
The players decided to lock the thieves out, and then once the thieves had run off, they decided to fight the giant on foot, and this resulted in one of them getting picked up and thrown through a window back into the manor. It was kind of crazy. I could never have predicted that was going to happen, and it really set the tone for the rest of the session. The point here is to communicate to the players as quickly as possible. Here is a choice, and the result of your choice is going to matter. As the game goes on, you should keep TUNIC.
I have one. You know how you communicate to your players as quickly as possible that they have the choice? You do it in the session 0, and then they know that they can always make a meaningful decision forever and always, whenever they want.
100%. That was about to say, right?
Yeah.
You don't communicate to the player. Here's a choice, guys. Now it's your time to join. Now I'm giving you a choice. You
man,
always
I'm using
have a
this.
choice.
I'm implementing this TUNIC system over here, so I will give you a choice every 30 minutes.
Man, you remember those like games where you play like those Walking Dead and Batman games where it's like a
Yeah, it's
cutscene
the
and
quick
then you have
time
a
event.
choice
Yeah,
and
it's-
X or Y.
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, that's what it is, right? Oh, I got this Paragon or Renegade. I'm gonna click the trigger. I can make a choice. Like, what do you fucking play this game, man? Just like, it's fucking insane. You should like.
But Mass Effect was at
turn
least fun with those choices. Like they had the choice, but they played it up in the game. They made like all the NPCs react to it, like
right. And you don't have
like in the movie production. Really
we don't
well.
when it's just our ugly mugs looking at each other. Don't have the luxury of the flashiness to hide the fact that it is a closed system to use as
Yes.
verbiage.
That's what it is, right?
We don't have the flashiness, so we need to. Yeah, we need to lean
Price is
into.
right.
Yeah, we need to lean into what we do have, which is the openness. We don't need to try to compete with a medium that does this better.
That's what is fucking insane, because it's saying that what make role-playing game different, not the role-play, but the openness. But then, here, now I'm giving you a choice. That's
right.
Like, now like there's a fork in the fucking railroad. That's almost how it sounds, right?
I'll just go play New
Welcome
Vegas
to
for
my
the 50th
prison
time.
system. I hope you enjoy my campaign. You're stuck
I mean, even
here
if you
for
play,
2 years.
just to be clear, even if you play a game where you are a soldier and you're following a routine and orders, or in a prison, or even in a public school, you have agency even in the moments when you're not supposed to have agency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can always disobey. You can always, be insubordinate. So
Right.
even that falls apart for this guy.
You disobey to find out if like the guy above you has a backbone or not. You will find out by testing the boundaries.
And it feel like the way you describe it, right? It's like the player decided to lock the door, right? It's say, are you gonna let the thief in, or are you gonna lock the door, right? And they say like, the player decided to lock the door, and when the thief ran away, then they went out to fight. It's almost feel like the player was trying to role play, despite the GM, right? Just like, we're gonna lock the door because that's one of the two choice you gave us, right? A or B. Well, we're gonna go with B this time. We went with A the last few times. We're gonna go with B this time. We're gonna lock the door. Okay, the thief runs away. Can we go out and fight a giant? And then he had to improvise, right? He was kind of forced into it. It's almost feel like that. It's like it's fucking feel insane. And obviously I wasn't there, but the way he's talk about it, it's just like.
I have another example, but I want to finish the video first before.
All right, let me play it. Yeah, let me play it. Well, I think also the end is just fucking bullshit. Subscribe
in mind, and try and keep the time between the different impactful choices fairly short. Honestly, one of the easiest ways to do this is just by creating a traditional dungeon. If you have a mapped out location full of rooms.
Sorry, guys. You see, try to keep the time between meaningful choice fairly short. What about every fucking round?
What if I put you into a prison where I have full control and can let you out 1 hour each day?
Well, it'd be better if it was once every 45 minutes.
And what? No. And what happens? Let's take this specific example. What happens realistically? Watch enough actual plays. What happens in a dungeon? The meaningful choice is.
You want to go west?
Where do you want to go? And then, do you want to kill the goblin with your spear? Do you want to shoot at the goblin? Do you want to blast the goblin with some fire? And then, not only is that, you can attack that choice in and of itself, right? That how you deal with the combat, but it's still always just combat. Sure. I'm not even going to say that. The problem is, you go to the next room. Well, now instead of a goblin, there's skeletons in it. Or there's more goblins in it. And you repeat the same choice just again. While this is fine in a video game because you have the flashiness and the gunplay to back it up, and it can be very satisfying to do the gunplay, while it can be fine in a martial arts gym because you're physically interacting with it, when you're just imagining it, we need variety is the spice of life, We can't just be making the same decisions over and over again.
Yeah, that's a big problem with whenever I run an adventure path. That's the first problem I run into. Oh, it's the 6th time we have combat with goblins.
Yep.
Oh, how do I actually make it the variety? Yep. And I would give your same example. I had it with kobolds. My group of players are hunting down kobolds because they are threatening the borders of the kingdom. And what I did is, first I amp up the amount of kobolds until they reach the royal guards of the kobolds and their spellcasters and the trap makers and the chieftain. And so what I changed is, you're not just fighting kobolds, they are trying to overwhelm you. How do you deal with that? They have more tools. How do you deal with that? And at the end, they overcome everything. So the tribe is yours. Are you gonna? I'm not giving them the answer on what to do. They decide do they eliminate the whole tribe? They ended up vassalizing the kobolds tribe to become like the first front troops for the kingdom that they will use as like a meat shield, basically.
Yeah, cannon fodder.
Yeah.
I like what a chief of center say, like illusion of choice. A 2D player only know what the GMs let them know about their surrounding. Only thing the player know is that they are in a manner, and thieves are approaching with giant in tow. And this is like the thing, like with the what I often say, like the 4D thing, right? It's about like giving the license to the player to imagine and filling the blank, right, and then interact with the world.
Yeah, but he's talking about the 2D player, but
yeah,
going from 3 to 4, and this is 2 to 4, so that's 3 big leaps,
yeah.
2 big leaps.
Exactly, it's a big leap because now they like they're gonna try to imagine their mind, but only the thing that the GM specifically mentioned exists. And only the
everything.
The GM says they're thieves. How would you even know that they are thieves that are approaching the manor?
I mean,
that's already like 2D information.
That's how you get your info in the world, right? It's not about like, that's also something I talk often about, like the epistemology and the, often say like your characters know stuff because they live in the world. Know stuff about the world because they live in the world. He doesn't know stuff because the GM told the player, right? That's not how it works.
Also, Zonalar, what a great example of a way to do show don't tell in game, right? Because he's telling them, not showing them that they're thieves. He's just saying they're thieves. And then you're left to go, okay, well, are they like raggedy? Are they carrying a bunch of stuff that like obviously looks like they just looted it from this guy? Like
are they like his name tag floating above his head?
Are they dragging a bunch of obviously oversized goods built for a giant, and the giant's running after them, and you can go and I've just made that's obviously like a really ham-fisted way to do it, but I just made it up on the spot, right?
Tyler, I think a better way to show them stuff their characters would know, but they don't know in the moment is flashbacks. And you gotta keep in brief, like, this time,
but you weren't
this
there.
place. What?
If you weren't there, you don't know.
That's true, yeah.
But your character was
there. Like maybe one player has a flashback, but all the other players act like they don't.
If it's somebody right? Like, that's Billy Bob, the thief of the village, right? That everybody knows the thief, right? And that's maybe one thing.
Yeah.
But,
that would be my example. Okay, I use a cheat code. You recognize them as thieves. As a roleplay, I think, I recognize them. I say, fuck you, Bob. You fucking stole from my aunt.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm not letting you in. I'm already like 4D involved in a relationship with the character.
Zamala, you can just say, like, if you were a player in my game and you wanted to know that I needed to communicate with you that Bob's a thief, I say, it's Christmas morning, and you open your garage door, you don't find a car. Later that day, you see Bob driving the exact same car as yours, dents and all.
Oh yeah,
man, he must have gotten a car for Christmas. Lucky for him.
I'm not a fan of the flashback because I like for me like roleplay, like I like it to be like in the moment, right? I want you to be there, right? I want you to be there in the eyes of your character.
I think it could be a tool you could use sparingly, though.
I mean, if it's a memory, like your memories are vivid to you in a sense. Memories are part of what you experience, like.
But either way, the point is any of the like 4 ways we gave are ways to show don't tell.
They're all better. They are all improvements.
Yeah, but that's something also you can say like, you don't see like, there's a thief coming up to the door. You say like, there's Billy Bob, the local thief.
It may even be more interesting to give very little information. Just there's some plainclothes men being chased by this giant, and you're going, well, I now the choice is like, well, there's urgency because this giant's going to catch up to these guys. But also there's like, I don't know if I want to jump in and help one side or the other. I know nothing about what's going on.
The choice is not locking the door, letting them in. The choice is, am I do I act in solidarity or be out for myself?
Yeah.
Which is so much more interesting. That's a real tunic here.
Yeah. Yes, because if you make like oh, this is a thief, right? Now you already like tainted the choice already. Like, you tainted the meaningful choice.
I mean, you can even describe it in narration, like say, this is Billy Bob. His head is on a picture of his face is on wanted posters for thievery all throughout the city. You're giving a fact about him that you would know.
That would be good too. Yeah,
that's as direct as it gets, but it's still sewing, not telling. Because
right.
I saw you something that you would have seen, and you know.
Yeah, but like, and for me, like I'm very like loosey goosey, right?
Yeah.
And I would have like, let's say the player like say like, it's somebody who like if they want to say like if a player want to say like, oh, that's Billy Bob, that's fucking thief, and like maybe that's the wrong assumption they have, maybe it's true. Then that's as a GM where I can play with, but I'm okay with the player making that call.
Yeah.
But I'm very lax as a GM. I'm very like, you know what? Throw shit in. I'll react to it.
Yeah.
Like I'm also playing the game. Let me play the
reactive dialogue.
Yeah. Like, you think he's a thief, but that's just you. You have a fucking hang up with this guy.
Yeah,
that's your opinion of him. It doesn't mean that.
Yeah, exactly. You can throw something out there, and then it can be true or not.
Rooms and corridors and so forth, and also treasures and monsters and dangers and traps and all of that sort of thing, then the impactful choices will kind of take care of themselves. Do we go down the left hall towards the firelight? Do we go down the right hall towards the delicious scent that we can smell wafting this way? What do we do about these spinning blades that are in our way? What about this weird creature? Do we fight it? Do we run away?
Don't laugh. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
I don't think I drink half a bottle of wine. Right?
I don't drink alcohol, but what should I start with? Because I'm going to need it.
I can give you some great recommendations.
Set me up on a path towards functional alcoholism, because I kind of need it.
QuestingBeast. The alcoholic's choice.
QuestingBeast made me drink.
The impactful choice will take care of themselves. Do you go left or do you go right?
You shouldn't have skipped his sponsor. Are you sure his sponsor wasn't like, Crown Royal or one of the big alcohol companies? Like,
don't worry, the sponsors don't role play either. They sell adventure books.
No, I think we may have skipped over it. It's like you're supposed to watch this video and then be driven to drink, and that's how his sponsor makes money. No.
We're all there like fucking talking about meaningful choice, impactful choice, about like morality and principle.
Don't we look like jackasses now?
Do you buy D&D or
we're doing it wrong.
Pathfinder 2nd edition.
It's like, do you want to go toward the chest or do you want to go toward the spinning blade?
The funny thing is, he never mentions. He never mentions values in this. It's like, okay, do you save the princess or do you?
Because there's no role play.
Sorry, I'll give a better example. Do you tone your brother in, even though he's the murderer, and you know it, or do you, are loyal to you? But that's an interesting choice. Yeah, do I go with family or do I go with my values and small?
You don't have values. It's just about like number and getting the bigger loot. And
this guy doesn't have values anyways. Like he could have.
Exactly.
This is how you get a million out of character questions from the few people that are like trying to roleplay there too, because it's like, wait, well, why is the monster attacking us in the first place? Huh? So
is the giant a bad guy? I mean,
is there anything else in the room? It's just
he just exists chasing thieves. He might be the police enforcer of the world.
If it's all about like evaluating risk, right? Oh, are we going to a spinning blade or trying to jump over this chasm with spike in the bottom, right? Now you have to ask like all a bunch of questions about like, well, how wide is the chasm and how fast are this blade spinning, and you try to evaluate like your best statistical odds of surviving the next encounter, right? That's where your impactful choice right? It's about it's a number game basically.
And then you start
game.
And it becomes a GM psychology game, right? He listed one thing there, I can't remember the verbiage he used, but like a tantalizing scent. I'm thinking like, but this is a dungeon we're in, so I shouldn't go over there because that must be a tramp. Yeah. So now I'm not thinking as my character. I'm thinking, how would someone design a dungeon though? They wouldn't design a dungeon with just
stuff. If you were a character and you were in a dungeon, you might know that.
To lead me? Maybe. Yeah.
Sorry, Leo, you're saying?
No, I just told Tyler that, if you were in a dungeon delve regularly, you might think, okay, how would somebody design a dungeon? Because that's a whole interplay of like, they want to keep something. You're taking like a burglar and they're like a security guy.
Yeah, but now, like what you're doing actually is like, I would bend the GM thing, right? Like, you're trying to outwit. You're trying like the GM is trying to outwit this player. The player is trying to outwit the GM. Right. That's what the game's about.
It's different if you have designed this dungeon, and while you're designing the dungeon, doing your prep work, you're kind of solo role-playing the guy that made the dungeon. It becomes...
Yes.
Or if you've designed the dungeon just as, I need a choice in room A, I need a choice in room B, I need a choice... Yeah. When you're designing it sort of by ticking boxes, as this TUNIC thing seems to be...
Yes. Yeah. What a chief of sinners say, like you aren't the character, you're a stat cheat fighting other stat cheat, or your class fighting other class. Yeah, exactly. That's
communism. This is communism. Class versus class. Yay.
Yeah.
That's more fun.
Guys, I'm out of spells. We have to rest. No, I'm fine. It's fine. I can just
wait. That's an impactful choice.
That's that's as much as it gets, right? That's
as close. The counter.
That's as close as you get.
Well, it's a tactical choice. It becomes an impactful choice. It's like, hey, we don't know how much time this guy have. They might execute the prisoners. We might need to hurry up.
You think it goes that far?
Wait. But we've figured something out though, right?
Oh,
in 2 seconds we have made a meaningful choice out of thin air without having to have anything done beforehand.
It's crazy
also,
how it goes.
I remember something, and this is from another creator, which I kind of like, but some of his stuff is not good. Is GM Dungeon Craft with Professor Dungeon Master?
Oh, he has a decent video every once in a while.
Yeah, but he says, like, if everything is boring, I just do what Raymond Sandler said. If something doesn't go interesting happens, just have a guy with a gun pop in. Like, okay, that's how you write Pulp Fiction, but it's set.
Yeah,
and it's still like that's also a sign of like having not proactive player, right?
Yeah, the more
never happens to me. Like the people I like to play with, that never happened to me. That nothing interesting is happening, right? Because characters have goal, characters have conflict between them, they have internal conflict, they have
values, that's the point,
They have values, exactly. Like those guys, like they're like there's no character. Like Chief of Sinner, you're not a character, you're a character sheet. You're a stat sheet, right?
Yeah, he has lobotomized role-playing out of the game.
Yeah.
This is basically lobotomized role-play.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Let's get there at the end.
Let's power through.
Do we talk to it? All that's going to have repercussions, and you don't have to do a whole lot to make it happen. TUNIC is also a really good guard against railroading, since railroading really is the polar opposite of giving players impactful choices. It gets you in the headspace of thinking.
It is?
Yep. If you got branching path on your railroad, you're no longer on a railroad. This branching path.
I'm not drunk enough for this to make sense yet. Hold on.
I go to a model train shop for like hobby equipment for miniatures every week. They have branching train tracks.
Well, they're not train tracks.
It really helps you to stop railroading your players.
I think we're misremembering it. I think the C may be cognac. I think maybe after enough cognac that it starts to make sense, and then that's where the fun happens. I don't know.
Time until next impactful cognac.
Yes, there we go. It works. I like this one better.
Oh, sorry.
You're in a prison, and
you say something like
that.
You don't
even know it.
It's kind of impressive how, like, every 5 seconds, maybe he's way smarter than we thought.
No.
Every 5 seconds. That's the it's everything he says is impactful. It's just not necessarily in a good way, but
oh man, I used to watch Sono's videos and say, man, Sono, just play the video. Stop making pauses every second. But now I'm like, oh wow, I can't fucking do it for more than 5 seconds. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
No, Leo. Nowadays, people say, stop yapping. I want to watch the video. Stop yapping.
Like when you enter the EFAP, right? Every frame's a pause, right?
That's almost is.
Yeah, because like that's like I was watching this video earlier.
RPG.
I was watching this video earlier, and I was saying like I was getting mad. Like it's so like, man, I like, and people fucking watch that fucking slop, right? When I say
just
people
incredulous,
tell you how to play like fucking role playing wrong, right? That's prime example of that. Yeah. People stop fucking listening to those fucking assholes.
I like that this video is basically Sono. You don't need Sono for this video. This guy basically tells you what he's doing wrong. For the most part, he says, "Oh, I'm not role playing." I'm like, "No shit, no shit, you are."
I love you, guy, but I wish I
don't even want to role play. Yeah. I will tolerate the role player at the table to suffer for campaigns, and he's going to be fine because he tells me he's fine. Well,
role plays
this is psychological torture.
This is why I bring the prison analogy. This is why I said lobotomization, because you're literally removing parts of your brain to play the game.
You know,
why?
There's a 4chan post a while ago which was not related to role playing, but it really reminds me of this like idea of role playing by yourself at a table of non-role players, which is it's like, you know, I don't get why people buy an expensive steak dinner. If you have a vivid enough imagination, you can just eat the same thing every day and imagine you're eating a delicious steak, and it sort of works after a while. You really that's the single role player at the table, like trying to go, no, it's okay, it's fine. I'm having a great time over here as they're eating cardboard.
I'm sure we can do role play. Right.
We got 1 minute left.
You have the TUNIC system
like we got 1 minute left, and a lot of it is gonna be like the end of video crap.
Yeah.
And I really need to go piss, so I'm gonna try to go to the end of the video, let you talk a bit while I'm gonna go get rid of that bottle of wine I drank.
About the game as something that is unfolding, that you are experiencing with the players, and it gets you excited about seeing what's going to happen, rather than being stressed out about trying to anticipate what they're going to do.
Stuff that he the exact opposite of what he just said.
So he's contradicting the last 9 minutes.
I could make fucking 10 seconds.
But look, he can say that because it's on a spectrum, you know?
Fuck off.
And the spectrum is a horseshoe, so it ends up where it started.
I don't think this video would be this funny.
This reminds me of that fucking lawyer who said consent is on a spectrum.
Like, you get excited about what's gonna happen instead, like, what? Man, I'm just gonna fucking play.
Let's just ignore this and continue the video.
Let's brush past that.
And making it be good. In my experience, no matter what game the game master happens to be running, if he's giving me regular, impactful choices to make that have a significant effect on the rest of the session, I'm going to have a good time no matter what the system. I'm getting what I came for in role-playing games, which is to feel like I am really a part of this fictional.
If it's giving me meaningful, like, man, like, it's not always right. You're in fucking jail. Just like they're like, oh, please, Mr. GM, can you give me a crumb of choices?
Hey, come on! I have 1 hour of to be in the yard. Give me some.
Good job, time. Billy. Do you want the gold star or the blue star?
Can I at least get the basketball while I'm on the yard? No, you have the yard.
Okay. This isn't a prison. This is a re-education camp.
Oh my god!
It's even worse. Sorry.
I literally live in Germany.
Let's play that.
I was thinking about China.
And that also works.
Now, of course, all of this is just my opinion. And as a poll that I did recently revealed, I think a lot of you actually disagree with me on this. And that's totally fine. Down in the description below, put your idea of what you think
all
is
the people who are listening to you know even less about role-playing than you do.
I don't know if that's true, Zonal. I think this video may not have illustrated that.
Oh, sure. We'll look at the comments.
I have a comment. I have a comment. I look for my
Let's
comment.
Mr. Max piss and entertain the chat.
Yeah.
like to help support Questing Beast, you can of course subscribe to this channel, buy some of my books or events.
There's the end.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I need to fucking piss. So talk among yourself.
Cool.
I actually also got to take a piss, so I'll be back in like.
Yeah,
it's okay, Tyler.
Right?
I can hold it in for at least another half
Right.
hour.
Yeah, I think so too. Chief of Sinners says, it's been 30 minutes since your last impactful choice. Do you want to use your tonight the whole spell against the beast? It's like coming for less. It's been 30 minutes since you've had a drink. Or you're finished with your cognac. Would you like to try a whiskey or maybe a? It's like fuck off. I'm gonna go to the other. I'm gonna leave and go to the other liquor store.
You know, honey, it's 3 p.m. Time for CBT. Like,
yeah, it's like,
yes, honey.
All right, you get a new choice. Okay, I guess.
You've been trapped in an abusive relationship.
All right.
And you accept that this is the pinnacle of like a relationship could be. Like, there's no other choice.
And now,
like, if you try something else, you will put yourself in danger, right? Like,
and now you're programmed to get a choice, every 5 minutes or every 30 minutes, like he says realistically. So what happens is you go, oh, huh? I get to do what now? What? Huh?
Let the thieves in or lock them out. Yeah,
let me finish this real quick. I'm in the middle of stuff. That's how you get shit like that. That's how you get that happening. So
you're detached from the game because you don't get to roleplay.
You
don't
TUNIC
get
should. So because of those situations, TUNIC isn't even. It's not even something that enters my mind because it's like I've been at those games where I've had to tell players, I've had to do like a mid-campaign session 0 because we've added some new players that didn't get the session 0, and I'm like, hey, you guys aren't really here. You just kind of showed up, you made characters, but now you're on your phone most of the session, and then we do that session 0, and they go, oh yeah, I just kind of want to hang out with you guys, and this is what you do. You guys play it. I'm like, you should have just told me. You don't have to play. You can just watch. And they were cool with that. And wow, we don't have to have TUNIC. They don't have to. I don't have to think of a way to force them to make a meaningful decision. I just
they had the choice to. They chose not to enter the prison, right?
Right. Yeah, they just don't play. Yeah.
I mean, I did do that once. I mean, I did play. I live in Dublin, and so we mostly play in bars. So we go to the bar, we arrive early, we play the game's done, and then everybody else shows up, and we just do what they stuff. I don't drink alcohol, but everybody else does drinks and eats.
Yeah. I'm not against that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's. Should we watch the?
Also, Tyler, I'm giving up on alcoholism to deal with this. I'm just going straight for the lobotomy.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a good one. Yeah.
So I gotta save my liver and fuck my brain in another way.
There you go.
The urgency and emergency.
Your liver will thank you.
I think that's a good comment, right?
That's a short and sweet one. We'd have to dive into what exactly.
Yeah, we give a lie, but I'm not logged in there. Yeah. I always like.
Is it buzzwords like?
I share my screen in private mode, so you don't see like the shit I watch.
Yeah, Zonalar, I agree. We would probably need to have a chat with him about what do you mean by that? But
what do you mean with emerging fiction?
Yeah, I like the concept. Yeah,
I like the idea of emergent story.
Yeah, like people.
I give it a thumbs up.
A lot of TTRPG, especially indie TT, that really don't work without roleplay for roleplay's sake, or at least roleplay style. Like, I
get for roleplay's sake.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy doesn't get it. World Kids Video.
No, it's not. It was a shittily articulate. Even just.
Wait. It did pronounce the words correctly.
Okay, in that meaning of articulated, sure, but man, we're picking at straws if that's the first thing you got to say. Yeah, you said the words right. No, but
QuestingBeast, you did pronounce the English correctly.
Yeah, if you're...
I cannot do that.
I can't do that either. I'm a fucking hick, but, if you're taking the more... well-articulated.
Tyler, you're being an Anglo representative here. Like you're the only one that has English as a native language here.
Yeah, I have Southern American English as we speak American over here.
Okay.
But no, it was not very well articulated. He contradicted himself all the time.
It's not role playing.
But Tyler, it's on the spectrum.
Are that role-playing game or not about role-play? So I guess this guy is also like, even though like he started with like, oh, well, you did it. He said like, well, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's actually the only point.
About it.
Yeah, there you go. This is a back. I like your back. He's bait and switching QuestingBeast to read the rest of his comment. That's good.
It's a shit sandwich, right?
Yeah.
I think I should have defined my term better. What I mean by role-playing is acting as your PC would act.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're gonna talk about that.
That's not role playing. I mean, it's a form of role playing.
It's maybe
but it's a surface level.
How would you know how your NPC would act? That's the question. Like,
yeah, like what a. I'm glad he acknowledged that, but yeah, what a fucking whiff to make a video about role playing and forget to explain what role playing is.
But he did explain what TUNIC was.
Eventually,
yeah. After the ad and after watching at least 5 minutes of the video, he explained
which felt like 2 hours. Okay, more comments.
I think like as know that role playing was a term choosing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Nobody really cares. But
nice used to mean stupid. What value does that? What value does that give us to today? Right, other than like a fun little factoid, right?
Is that true? That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like friends for naive or something.
Mm-hmm.
Right, 2 years or so.
There you go. This guy gets it. Eh? Being together and having a good time with friends, no matter the game.
Hey, you know,
just get the beer. Just watch rugby.
I bet it took him less drinking to write that comment up than it. Fuck, man.
I can agree with having a good time with people.
Sure,
but it has nothing to do with a role-playing game.
No.
Oh, you see that guy? I met him. That guy creating your masterpiece. I met that guy twice. He's alright.
Oh.
His videos suck.
Oh, there you go. Can you see if I added them? I recall the poll you did a while ago, Ben, about what makes a D&D game, and the top result that people voted for was shenanigans.
To be honest, most people eat too much Red 40.
D&D players, they know. They can sniff it in the air. Something is wrong here. I can't put my finger on it. So every time they get shenanigans, they're like, "Oh, this is great! I get to do what I want." And the game master lets me.
They don't want to be goofy and just like, oh, I'm gonna try to be like that's I'm gonna try to be MVP of the session by being the funnier. I'm gonna make the GM.
Yeah, you have to be the bigger class clown.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what it's about, right?
Because you don't actually have a character with goals or values or any of that, so you have to fill that void with clown shit.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of gap in your reasoning. While it's openness is a common feature of RPG, it doesn't necessarily follow that the session should have focus on choices.
Oh my god!
It should always focus on choice.
Yeah. That sense I participated in many sessions with minimal choice. I participated in many sessions with minimal choice. Poor guy.
It's like he removed the fucking courtyard from prison.
Where players were still highly engaged and satisfied. They were glad to be told the story. They were entertained.
Does MSNT 8UX perhaps work in HR? Because that sounds like a. So we fired everybody that had negative feedback to say on the exit polls. And of the people left, the pizza party was actually a really good compensation for the pay cuts.
I can't read that shit anymore.
Man, I have a suggestion. I suggest we lobotomize Ben Melton to see if it makes any difference to his session.
I like an A/B test. Ben with and without lobotomy.
I just want to see. I just need the control group because I'm convinced he can be fucking lobotomized.
The bridge isn't just on fire; it's been sunk into the riverbed.
Tyler, the bridge is underwater and on fire. Don't ask me how. It has its own oxidizer.
It's been covered in gasoline, and
it has its own oxidizer.
It's just a nightmare. We started. All right, let's see this video. Let's dig into it, and we've ended with "You should be lobotomized."
But like 1.6 likes on this video, like it's insane. Yeah, toxic positivity at its finest.
Hey, you know, a good portion of those are probably bots. If you have over 1,000 subscribers, the bots start going crazy.
I'm going to expose myself. I listened to the video while taking my shower for the show. And I was like, I don't hear too many crazy things. It sounds weird. I can't keep track of what he's actually saying.
No, I think that's
I want to dig into this. I want to be on the show to talk about it.
and
it's like as soon as you have somebody to talk about it, you learn so much more than if you just passively consume the video and as entertainment.
That's part of the prestige, Zonalar, is so, you know, for those of you who don't know, it's been a while since I've been on. I have a degree in technical writing. We study the father of modern propaganda. And that's part of the art, is saying things just flowery enough, but not actually having any content there to get people to maybe believe what your title was, or what, like, the one nugget of content was.
Or they project their bias onto what you're saying.
Yeah, and they're like, I agree with that. But if you actually delve into it, you go...
Was it Burke? What is his fucking name?
Roland Barthes.
Bang. Okay, I knew it started with a B. Yeah, I know that shit.
yeah. I'm also.
I might not look like it or sound like it, but I did. Yeah. I am somewhat cultured.
Yes, it's very cultured.
More cultured than me, and I'm from Switzerland.
Yeah.
It's just if the only thing I can show up is where I'm born, it's not very good. So.
Oh wow!
Isn't Switzerland like the hillbillies of Europe?
Yeah.
This is how you design like a D&D mystery. We could have fucking reacted to that as well.
Good
like
Lord.
It was also like I thought about doing a react to that as well. Like it was fucking awful.
Let's do it sometime.
This was a great video.
This was fun. This was awesome.
This was fun, but I feel like I lost brain cells.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
They're swimming away as we speak.
I want to. I talked about it before, but in case Ben, if you're watching, and you can come talk to us, Ben. Like I'm mean, but I can still talk to people. Role playing.
Even if God doesn't believe that.
Well, I do hope he's a great teacher, because I don't want him as my dungeon master. Like, if it was the exact same thing, if he was a girl, that would already be an improvement. At least the social aspect rises.
Like when I'm talking about role playing, right? I often say like, what is role playing, right? He didn't define it in this video, and he said like role playing is not the essence of role playing game, right? That's fucking insane already, right? You know.
The definition of role playing is role play can be removed from a role playing game.
Exactly. Yeah. But like I'm saying like role playing, and I want to talk about that, like, right, you know, like the link between like role playing used to be used in therapy and shit like that, right? And I talked a bit about that in my previous video about being the slave trader when I talk about empathy, right? And I said like role playing in a sense is about empathy. Empathy is about projecting yourself or putting yourself in somebody else's head, right? Basically, I often say somebody else's skin, but it's because I'm a bit skin obsessed. But it really is in somebody else's head. I love skin. What can I say?
He just wants to put the skin on. That's all.
Put the lotion on.
3 p.m. Time for your skinning, honey.
Yeah. Come here. But yeah. So role playing is about, the way I see it, is about trying somebody else's skin on, right? It's about like being somebody else that is not you, and understand.
Still funny.
Sorry.
I don't know. I kind of
Putting their shoes on.
You know, just FYI, one thing I realized recently is you don't need to give a definition to roleplay because you can distinguish it from other things. It's not hard to distinguish. What you do need to do is give a description of it.
But people don't get it. People don't fucking get it, right? It's like the whole fucking thing about being a voice. Like, no, for me, like, I want you to see the world as this character. I want you to consider the world as this character. Think about, like, you know, you're not bringing your own. You're trying to leave as much as you can your own bias outside of the character, and now you taking on the bias of this character that grew up in that world.
There was a really interesting There was a really interesting assignment I had when I was working on my Russian history minor, which was that we had to write a paper from the perspective of a Communist Party member at meetings during, like, just after the Bolshevik Revolution. And a lot of my fellow students in that class were sending me messages like, I don't fucking get this assignment. And I was like, what's there to get? It's the end of the class. We learned all this. Just take the information that you have here and just write a couple pages as if you're that person.
Put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's a really good exercise. Try to see the world from a different perspective for once.
Tyler, how would you feel if you didn't have breakfast yesterday?
But I did have breakfast yesterday.
That's what it is.
What do you mean? What I ate?
Yeah.
What does it matter what I imagine if I didn't eat?
By the way, the part of writing like a communist in the Bolshevik, it's actually harder because you got to realize communists think very differently than normal people.
Well, that's
the hard part.
That wasn't the struggle that people were
but right. It's the interesting part.
It also wasn't the thing that they were struggling with. They were struggling with understanding what the assignment was in the first place. They didn't understand how to start. Which is like, that's the hardest part to help people on, where it's like, you haven't started writing anything. I don't know what I can correct. I don't know what you're not getting, right? That's
right.
How did you solve that problem, Tyler?
I don't know, because they were my peers, so I didn't have like any, I tried.
The question was never answered. We still stuck there trying to think about communism.
I just told them just get something on the. Oh, you mean how did I do the assignment, right?
Could you do a Russian accent?
No.
Yeah, if you have the problem of like I don't know where to start. Okay, is there something we can give people of how would they start? Like, what's a good advice?
Do your film study or your whenever you know the genre, just look at things in that genre and just start by taking bits and pieces of it, That's why Shauna would always ask, if we're going to play sci-fi, what's your favorite sci-fi movies?
Yeah.
And if they stare at you with a blank expression, you go, okay, we're not going to play sci-fi then.
I'm going to play sci-fi with this guy.
Yeah.
I think a better question to ask is, who's your favorite sci-fi creator?
Right, that too.
It has a common thread, because, movie has to.
But Shauna would always do movies. He was always of the, RPGs are most like movies, and I don't always agree with them, but that was his your favorite creative medium. Let's put it that way.
Like I want to, I don't watch movies, so that's something like with Shauna, like I didn't see that.
Didn't see that. Don't
care.
No.
The thing, by the way, the thing with genre is
he was always in a rail against like people that haven't seen any movie. Like, yeah, Shauna, that's me.
Hello.
I watch me roleplay, Shauna. Again.
It's the Gigamax.
My problem with the idea of going by genre is that when you boil it down, genre is just one guy's particular style of expression, and then everybody else is copying him. That's what genre is. It's just a guy. Like
we get into a bit. You're on a whole
Yeah, no, I just
technical
thought
writing
about that.
course plan there, which is how do you avoid copyright? Is copyright ethical?
Like, genre doesn't matter that much because what's important to understand is like it's people. Right. Role-playing game is about people. It's about you playing a character, right?
Right.
You can be in a different setting, but people are people, and people have values. Like the great thing about role-playing, right? And like that's also the point about it being used with therapy. Oftentimes they're gonna try to do role-playing with people that are like deranged in therapy. People that don't think like the normal people because they try to get in the shoes of somebody like normal, right? You know, like, or your wife or whatever, right? Well, you have to understand, right? You see the world in a different way, but she sees the world in a different way, right? So I'm gonna role play you, and you're gonna role play your wife, and we're gonna do this reaction, right? And then like you said, well, that's the fucking point. The fucking point is to be understanding somebody else that is not you, right?
Even in therapy, you don't start with role-playing your wife. You start with role-playing a guy at school with somebody else, gifting him a skateboard, but he doesn't like skateboards. Imagine how this event plays out. Like, how do you deal with this conflict resolution?
Yeah.
You know, if you want to be useful, because if you start with people you know, then you already like put in all of your prejudice into the mechanics.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But you know what I would elaborate on then is do a genre. Look at your genre. So you're doing a sci-fi thing. Do character study on the characters in your favorite sci-fi book, movie, comic book, video game, whatever, and see how those characters do those characters, because I bet those characters do a lot of things that the characters in QuestingBeast or pick anyone. We're picking on him today, but pick any actual play. I bet those characters in your favorite thing do a lot of things characters never do or very rarely do in RPGs. They move around. They have physical tics and things. They don't usually have
that's
crazy,
acting, you know,
funny voices, right? They do things physically in the world. They make bad or wrong decisions a lot of the time. Like the objectively incorrect decision. And look at, well, why did they make that decision? Was it because they were emotional in the moment? Was it because they had some code of ethics that prevented them from making what would be the objectively right or easy decision there?
They have fucked up values.
Yeah, or take John Wick at the end of John Wick 2. What does he do? He sets up the whole rest of the movie series by killing a guy on basically the company, the safe zone, the company property where the assassins can't kill anybody, and so he becomes excommunicated from the group of assassins.
Oh no!
And now John Wick 3 and 4 have to happen, right? Objectively, that's a terrible thing for him because now he's a fugitive. He's constantly on the run. He has very little access to the networks, right? But
he had no choice. Somebody killed his dog.
Right, it's the decision his character. Not even that. He just didn't fucking like the guy. It was just out of spite. It was an emotionally motivated, spiteful thing that he did.
And makes him sound like a woman.
It's so much more interesting for that, right?
How do you write women? Just take away sensibility and reason and sense responsibility.
But what do you say, like Leo, when you say like, oh, the people they have terrible value and stuff like that, right? And that's interesting to role play as well.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to understand, like, why do they have those value, right? People are not just like it's not like random, like a bunch of dice roll. Like people.
I look on a table to see what my value is.
Environment and stuff like that. Yes, and you can do that, but then like
I agree, but at the end of the day, like. I agree that it's interesting to peel down, but at the end of the day, you just gotta say, like, the guy made a choice, and this is his choice. Like, the rabbit hole, it doesn't go to infinity. It's like, why he chose this. But at some point, you gotta say, yeah, that's his choice,
Like, people are like a line of like domino falling, right? That's like one thing like bring to another. At some point, that's how we build, like as character, as person, right? And I think it's important to be able to like in your own life, like outside of roleplay, be able to look at who you are as a person and understand why you are like that, right? Just like I have a bunch of flaws, and I mostly understand where they come from. But then I can also like make that for another character as me that I have a different set of flaws,
right?
And understand like, well, it's because you grew up in that world. Like, this is the world that this gym is presenting. How would somebody that grew up in that world, in those circumstances, would end up? Was he noble? Was he poor? Was he, like?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's you don't have to fucking I have to have like an impactful choice of like, oh, do you go left or you go right? And the left is the right is spinning blade.
That's
right? You don't have to make
micro.
this choice. You already have some juice and some interesting stuff about like who this guy is and why is he like that.
On a long scale, either over the course of a session or the course of a campaign, are you going to remember whether you turned left or turned right?
No.
Or are you going to remember the time that you decided to go to the dungeon in the first place because your character needed money because he's been flat broke his entire life and he's just fucking tired of being broke and he's willing to throw his life away if it means he gets money? Like
that. You betrayed that long-time friend because, something, right? Just like because you had another choice. Or the time that you went arrested because you refused to betray, right? Those like this is the impactful stuff, right? It's not about like
values.
Exactly, values. It's not about like I'm gonna get 10% more loot if I go this way, right? I'm gonna
does your character
number, right?
Does your character even care about money?
That's a good point. Well, just to be technical, in all those video game like systems where your impacts they have values, but the values are completely detached from actual higher up things. The values are just loot.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting exercise to do with one of these guys. Have them play characters that start having 1 million gold in Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
All right.
So
you've got it.
Money's not back anymore.
Yeah, you've got it all. So what do you do now? Right?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, like in most of these games, gold is useless. Like adventurers have too much gold.
Well, in 5e, gold is fucking garbage. But
gold is useless because when you try to use it, the GMs be like, "Well, I don't know what you can use it for."
Right? Yeah.
I would just come up with some bullshit that drains all of your gold, so you have to go back on rail.
Let's pretend we're in a game, an economy that is semi-functional, and that gold, is the carrot.
What's that pretend thing about?
Let's pretend that the economy works.
Can you present that?
I can't imagine that. I was born in the 20th century. I can't imagine that. I just know fiat currency. I'm sorry, I don't know what this metal thing is.
Yeah. What do you mean? But money doesn't work. But money doesn't work. What do you mean?
Well, it's not money; it's currency. Because remember, money is a
commodity. You guys are being bad role players right now. You're doing.
But I ate my breakfast yesterday. But I ate my breakfast.
Let me read that comment so we can go back on track a bit. Most people don't have like the intellect to comprehend opposing worldview and put them on viewing the world from another opposing perspective. That I think that's unfortunately, and I think like I'm gonna say it. I don't think role-playing game are for everybody. I think some people are just not cut out for it. Maybe they're cut out for adventuring game.
I see where this is coming from, and I will say that's wrong. School systems teach you not to learn, like not to think. They teach you what they want you to know, and they don't teach you to learn stuff by yourself, like learning how to learn, how to express yourself, how to see a different perspective. That is a difficult skill that's not on the curriculum, so to say.
Yep.
Well, it's not there because a lot of the teachers themselves are dumbasses who don't know the first thing, don't have an epistemology to speak of.
Yeah, that's also true. It's a
cyclical
thing. Yeah,
because you had a decent epistemology, you wouldn't work as a teacher.
And that's if you're probably true.
If you're not in that system anyway.
Yeah.
If you're also a young guy growing up, who do you ask for advice? It's not your parents. It's a stupid guy that you look up to because he is like slightly bigger than you.
It's me.
I mean, nowadays it's a YouTuber.
It's a fucking YouTuber. They look up at XQC. They look up at Tyler One. They look up.
Hey! Don't go after my own boy.
We're getting
The Tyler one is kind of all right.
We're getting onto a
rabbit hole.
It's not even a rabbit hole. I don't even know what to call this, but
it's like they're even more stupid than Hollywood actors.
Imagine. No, but this is
let me finish it, because that was like kind of like a two-part comment.
Like, do the comment.
Why racism and stuff like slavery is considered wrong in modern slop system like D&D, despite the fact that we're in a fantasy world that didn't suffer the Enlightenment. Like, that's the word. That's that's what I was talking about in my last video as well. Like when I said like you should play the slave trader, right? There's slavery in your world. That's normal for your guy. You grew up in that world. Like you're playing yourself in that world. Like, oh, we know the slavery. We need to fight that up. No, it's just a fact of life, right? It's like,
play it as and again, do some research into the different forms that slavery has taken historically. It's people jump to late 1800s chattel slavery, and it's like, well, for most of history slavery was a lot different than that. It was a social class thing. It was
it was basically being in debt. Like a guy today, I'm not kidding with you, all of the guys who are drowning in student debt would be considered slaves in the ancient world.
Indentured servitude.
Effectively you are, because you have to work to pay it off if you don't want to go bankrupt. And
when you pay like 50% of your wage in rent, you're pretty much worse off than most slave of history.
Yeah, look, Mr. Max, but we are using the TUNIC system. He can choose to have a job, or he can choose to get fucking servitude.
Choice. The tax man shows up. Do you pay him or not pay him? Ooh.
I mean, it can always go back.
I'd punch him in the face. Well, that wasn't a choice.
Whoa, that has surprised me. I did not think this was an option.
Back to the re-education camp with your character.
Yeah, we're going to China. We're going to China.
Yeah, I'm leaving the country.
Yeah. But no, it's totally right. Like there's this a modernistic worldview injected into what are supposed to be a lot of these fantasy realms.
Presentism. We held it on the stream. Presentism.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. But and it's because these people have difficulty putting themselves in the shoes of other people living right now, let alone people living hundreds of years ago, let alone people living hundreds of years ago on a different planet with magic.
Very true, right? When you say like, oh, those people, they always project and shit like that, that's what it is, because they like, it's always like projecting their own feeling and their own worldview on other people, and they say like, well, why would I act like that? It's probably because I'd be full of hate. And so, no, you're full of fucking hate. Like those guys, they don't act like that. Like,
I say something
because I hate women.
Can I say a topic that's kind of hot right now and then move swiftly on?
Try it.
I stirred things up at the bar the other day by going, what Russia and Ukraine are going through right now is kind of like the Cuban Missile Crisis. And if you frame it like that, Russia doesn't look as evil as they do if you're an American, right? And people were really quiet at the bar and go, I see where you're coming from.
That's a big litmus test, right? This fucking like, oh, Russia just evil, just want to fucking like invade Ukraine. Like, well, first, you don't know what you're talking about.
Do you want to get a shotgun right on your doorstep? He's not doing anything now, but he does have a shotgun and he's on your front lawn.
But it's always like, North Korea, they fucking like spending 90% of the fucking GDP in military stuff. Yeah, because there's a fucking superpower always threatening them to punch them in the face, right? So, sometimes try to fucking like see the world for somebody else.
Even if you don't agree with it, try to understand it.
Agree with it. But you can understand like where they're coming from. So it's not irrational, right? I can see, I would do things differently, but I can see where they're coming from, and then from there you can build some kind of understanding, right? Just like all kind of bullshit, right?
Yeah, you have to lower your ego a bit. You have to lower your guard a bit and say, you know what? I have no clue about North Korea and South Korea, so maybe I can learn something here.
All I know about South Korea is K-pop.
It's why I don't.
StarCraft.
It's why like, I lean
StarCraft
toward
Group
the other
War.
side.
I don't know about South Korea's K-pop and pretty girls dancing.
Although I think North Korea is starting to have their own idols too, Max. So.
Yeah, man. No,
Yeah, they live in America and are on YouTube.
I should fucking get
After
a Korean
escaping
girlfriend.
North Korea.
I should get a
Anyways,
Korean girlfriend that can make me kimchi.
I had a
good.
point about role playing. If we want to go back to that or not.
No, this is a Korea stream now.
Ganbate.
That's Japanese. I think that's
Same.
you're
Close
inciting
enough,
a
close
war
enough.
here. I think.
Close enough. It's the other side of the world, so it counts. That means sold all Asians at the same time.
Is that the equivalent of, well, it's pretty close to wargaming? Is that what
It's
you're
on
doing
a
here?
spectrum.
Yeah.
I'm basically role playing already, Tyler. Look,
It's on the
okay.
spectrum.
dice.
You're on the Asian spectrum. What's
Yeah.
I'm rolling dice. I'm on the role playing spectrum.
Oh God.
I'm playing a role, Tyler. Don't you get
Right.
it? Man, you're so stupid.
Come
I'm
on,
merely
it's an Asian
pretending to be a
spectrum.
moron on
It
the
has
internet.
just the native Asian person on one end and Keanu Reeves on the other.
All right, you want to go back to roleplay? Please do.
I played a social game with my friends. Like, yes, I will play Shadowrun with you guys. I understand. I'm not gonna fucking call it 1D game into his face, but I understand that we are not doing 4D role playing. So let me say then, because we didn't play for 4 months, and I'm fucking outcasting myself amongst my friend group. Like, that's no good. So let's sit together. Let's play. It's online. And after the game, I called Nicolas Camargo, the Brazilian guru, and talked with him about the game. And I invited my wife to the call because she played in that group, of course. And one thing that I noticed about this session we played of Shadowrun, it was very little happened. We spent like 2 hours in the proverbial bar scene. It included the scene of even getting to a bar scene too. So very, very drawn out, and we didn't get to do the mission of the actual Shadowrun. In 4 hours that I've locked away, which was my stipulation, I'm ready to play. I'm here from 3 to 7. And then I made the hard cut, like, guys, let's wrap up. I'm done for the day, but I'll give like 10 more minutes to make it a nice wrap up. The thing that really hit me was the game master said, like, well, where do you live? Like, what's your apartment? And my wife responded with, like, she didn't even think about this until he asked. So now she is spooling up, like, okay, let me try to imagine my apartment, the table, there's a chair. Like, she's trying to get into it, and the GM interrupts her by saying, like, well, what are you wearing? Like, is it like a Asian apartment? Like, he's asking more questions while she's trying to imagine things, and it basically interrupted her in her process. Like, basically, like, oh, she can't finish what she started, and it just becomes drawn out and very long and very tedious and frustrating.
And
nobody noticed until we were able to talk about it afterward.
And Chekhov's gun, does any of that matter? To me,
No.
A player, if it matters where they live, they'll already have that sort of, off the top of the head. If they didn't already write it down, even. If it matters what kind of clothes they're wearing to, maybe show that they're very opulent, they'll describe that in their appearance. If they're not, then don't ask them. Don't suddenly take the camera and then pan it to like a pencil on the table and then go, it's a Ticonderoga #2. And then you're left wondering the rest of the movie, like, the fuck was that scene for? I'm freaking out here.
And for me, what it signaled... Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, like, what it feel like, it doesn't feel like you're a 1D game, it feels like you're a 2D game. Because they kind of want to take the game seriously, but not be in character, right? And for me, like, this is like the worst spot to be in. I can do the 1D game where we're just gonna, drink some beer, make some joke and stuff like that. I like joking with my friends, right? And we do it like while role playing, like, we're not gonna take the game seriously. Just something silly that we do while we fucking hang out, and we're just trying to up one each other, like about making joke and being stupid. I can have a good time with that. But now if you ask me to take the game seriously and to be involved, but you're not gonna be in character, then it's like that's like the most uncomfortable spot for me, right? Just
I was saying I'm not going to enforce 4D on my game master. I want to play with you. I want to spend time together, but I want this to improve, because if this is the state, then it's going to be like I show up once every 3 months, because it's not fun for me. You know, like I'm not coming back to prison next week. Like I don't have to.
That's for me. Like it's like almost like painful, right? It's like I'd rather do something else than do that, right? And like I'd rather go back down to 1D than do that, to be honest.
And I see that my game master, he wants to role play because he's asking all of these leading questions, interrupting her process of imagining the scene and then describing it, which is the part of that show to me that, there's so much insecurity happening with that of, okay, you want to role play, you want to create a scene, but you interrupt your players because you're not comfortable letting silence rest for a while. Let them think. Let them come up with something cool. Because the goal was set up your character. Like, give us a brief window into your life, into mundanity, before we go into a Shadowrun.
Yeah.
To set the scene.
But also, it's kind of out of the blue, right? It's kind of weird, too.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's why I say it's like panning the camera onto something, and then my mind is now thinking like, okay, the clothes or my house are for some reason like gonna be important. Otherwise, why would they make this like really jarring cut here, right?
Like, he asked for details here and there. It's like, well, the details doesn't matter. Just as a game master, just say, set the scene. What would you do on a random Wednesday? Midday.
What do you eat? Like, what do you eat for breakfast?
Yeah, it's a typical Wednesday. You know,
typical Wednesday.
Yeah, it's take you away like from the present, right? Like, fucking,
you know. And stop yourself asking for more and more details to get more choose or more role play, because you're interrupting the role play by doing it.
Yeah,
it's like your car can roll, but you're like constantly pulling the fucking handbrake.
You're interrupting it, and you're getting into the like art house film roleplay territory where you're which I like occasionally. You know, I like a good art film, but you're getting into the more you describe, it sort of becomes like the Stalker movie, where you have these just huge long panning shots of just stuff, and nothing's really happening, or rather it's just one thing that's happening over a really long period of time.
I'm okay with that, but I'm French, so
yeah, same. I'm also okay with that, but it's like, but let it happen naturally. You know, if somebody wants to describe in egregious detail the opulence of their clothing and the gold stitching and the silk that it's made of,
it's like the Psycho movie. Oh, is this eggshell on your business card? And you know, like, he's a fucking psycho killer.
Right?
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that it says something about the character. When you do that, right? But if it's like forced by the GM, that's when it becomes like, are you trying to get something? What do you want? What do you want from me, man? I'll give you money. Just go away.
I used to play with a guy, and we had like Vampire the Requiem sessions that would go on for 8 hours. And a lot of it was because the guy would describe the architecture for like 10, 15 minutes straight, and you ask him what type of bar it is, and he says, this is the type of bar that has this crowd, and it's a bunch of like upper class people who want to be tough. And I'm like, I work in a bar, and I work in a lot of bars, so I can size up a bar. Okay, how many people? What's the decor? What's the decor? And he's like, I don't know. Like, that's what makes a bar, not the type of clientele you think goes there. But
that's
I went on a rant.
That's a pet peeve of me, like I like GM that try to describe too much, right? You're not trying to I know what a bedroom looks like. You can just say it's a bedroom, like you can just say like it's a ritzy bedroom.
It's cheap. You have to think bedroom, like a screenwriter, like bedroom, cheap, one bed.
Yeah, that's
bedroom, cheap, one bed, unkempt.
It's so funny. Before the game started, I was thinking of like, all right, if that was a thought exercise that I had before we played. what does my apartment look like? Because it's involved into my character as like a mechanic.
Yeah.
And I pulled up this picture in my background and I put it on for the game.
Yeah.
Because I thought like, that would be a good way to set the scene, set the mood of what my character is about without actually making a scene about it.
Yeah.
How much do you think the rent is in that place per month?
At least 7 million.
Yeah, it's like it's supposed to be middle class with like a fucking workshop built into it.
No,
So
that's
it's
middle
like,
class.
so that's
Middle
like
class,
This
we
looks
live in
even better than middle class, but it's because
we live in a worse
good
world
picture.
than what Cyberpunk imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, Leo, that's a good point. Like I've already got this scene of like an unkempt bedroom. You know, there's a
exactly.
You didn't even mention it, but there's
Yes.
a briefcase that's open and it's got clothes sort of just strung out of it. And if I want to know what else is in that bookcase, not bookcase. Sorry, there's also a bookcase in there now. Briefcase. I'll just go and open the briefcase and investigate. So I, the player, dive more into it. You don't need to go and inside the briefcase because then I'm going, whoa. I see that from all the way over here. Yeah, I'm not.
And if it's not relevant, like the texture of the bed sheet, right?
Yeah, I'm not
Why
feeling
you
it.
telling
How
me
do
that? Tell me what's relevant. Tell me what's unusual.
Yeah.
And other than that, you can just like fucking paint with a fucking broad brush.
Yeah.
And when we'll need more detail, we'll go into more detail. But
also, not even that. You can just describe. You should always describe things from the perspective of the characters, because as far as they're concerned, there's nothing there. So you can say you're in your apartment. You step in through the front door. What do you do?
Yeah. And
like
if
you
you're
get back
game
home
master,
from a day at work, what do you do? And describe the apartment as you do it, please.
And then
not
the
that
next
difficult,
point is you shut up and let your player talk. Let him have the whole 30 seconds, which is like our good games, 30 seconds, not more than that. Let him set the mood, set the scene, and then you say, okay, good, Tyler, what does your apartment look like? Bam.
Yep.
And then
like GM are trying to paint a full picture with words instead of laying down a general descriptor and letting the player
Imagination
fill in the gap.
we can tell he doesn't use autocorrect.
Working hard exactly. Like the world get defined as the people like interact with it, right? Just like like I walked to the coffee maker. You didn't have to tell it was a coffee maker. Like it's an apartment. Like it's reasonable.
Of course it's got a coffee.
Right?
And then if I go to do that, then the GM could say something like, for some reason the coffee maker's missing or it's broken, or like if for some reason it needs
exactly.
to
If
be
for some reason it's important that you cannot make a coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or like because sometimes it's that can be like a tip off that like a minor tip that like something's wrong, that like somebody's broken in. You open it, it's like, well, I hate when you do that, as you do that, it gets overused. But as you're going to look for the coffee machine, it's not there.
But that's also why it's important to
well, I mean,
when it's your turn, not like give like 3 action, right? I go toward the coffee maker. That's your action, right? And
but just to say the coffee machine's not there. In fact, nothing's in these cabinets, and now it becomes like, what the fuck? Somebody's broken into my apartment or something.
That's Max. My rule for like when you describe an action, it has to be something that's one action, but you should not use the word "and" for describing it. I go to the kitchen and I open the refrigerator and go to the kitchen, open the refrigerator, take the food out, start cooking. You don't have to use "and" unless you're talking about I get the sword and the seal. That's different.
I think that's don't have like 2 verb, basically, like 2 action verb.
Yeah, don't have 2 independent clauses.
Yeah.
Right, unless they are connected to each other. Like I punch him, I stride to the side, punch him in the face. You can punch
so
him
you can
in the
have
face,
a semicolon independent clauses, but you can't have a.
Yeah.
I have to write down
grammar base.
Standard operating procedures here.
Well,
now
if you want to get
German people.
if you want to be technical, you should use semicolons when describing your accent and tone. But we're not used to using semicolons in writing. But for this semicolons
I use them
all
a
the
lot.
way to go.
I do too.
I've been called slutty for it.
Kurt Vonnegut once said that the only thing a semicolon shows is that you went to college, which I think is a funny thing to say.
It is, but look, semicolons in this context are useful. I'm doing something else, but it's still part of the same thing. Also, it shows up a lot in legal documents all the time.
Sure, fucking do, yeah.
Which is I get why, but it's.
Let me get away from work for a moment.
I think we should probably wrap it up, guys.
I think we added on
like
to
10 minutes video.
Well, I think we added on to that video a lot at the end in the post video there with like ways to
actually roleplay.
Actually roleplay a variety of answers that are all way more correct than this. Even
what is fucking roleplay?
Yeah.
And yes, roleplay is the core, like it is the one thing that differentiate role-playing game from every other type of game.
A hamburger, to your earlier analogy, does in fact need a hamburger patty in it.
Does it have to be from Hamburg?
See, that's a different question, you know. Role-playing game doesn't have to be from
Roleplay.
This isn't working anymore. Yeah, see, your analogy doesn't work there.
By the way, I kind of agree because. But by the way, I just want to be technical about it. This is my opinion. I call these type of games narrative games because you play them to narration. Because it's completely like this guy. It's completely possible to play them without role playing. So I call them narration games because you narrate what you do. That's the medium. Like video games, it's on a video monitor. Ball games, you use a ball. And I call them narration games. And if you role play, then the role playing game. But it's not a role playing game just because you describe stuff with words. I mean, that's
yeah.
That's my definitions of it, and people think, "Oh, you're a story gamer." No.
Say it. There you go. Chief of Sinners say you guys should do this more. It's basically a spiritual successor to roleplay.
That's the point, you know.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I had fun.
Yeah.
Maybe when I see like stuff to react, I don't watch much YouTube content anymore.
I don't either.
But like
I still do. I'm lost in them.
Lost in the sauce. You know?
When you see something to react to, like you can send them over. We'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if something is particularly egregious like this, where he said the quiet part out loud.
This one, I wasn't planning on staying up this late. I gotta go down to in-laws tomorrow.
I woke up at 5 in the morning for this.
Yes,
both you guys in fucking Europe, like just like getting up.
I mean, I started when it was dark outside, and this is Ireland, so it's still dark outside.
Well,
this is a wonderful place for a vampire, by the way. Just FYI, if you're a vampire,
there you go.
Yeah.
Just pick a tiny island.
That's another good exercise for developing roleplay habits too. Is just thinking like, oh, that would make it that would be good for X situation, you know. Walking around. We do that sometimes with like self-defense drills. It's like, all right, walk through this, you know, building and go, all right, is there anything like that you could have picked up and used as a weapon to defend yourself here? It's like,
you know what I do when I do like I was trying to record a video about that at some point, but my video doesn't like record. My camera doesn't record. My phone camera doesn't record well in the dark.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to like you know, I talk a lot about like description through lights, right? Because we perceive the world mostly, we're a visual creature. We perceive the world mostly through lights, right? And I was talking about like at night, and oftentimes we have like scene at night and stuff like that. And also I want to talk about like how the lights affect what you see first and the shape, and you know, like all like the specularity of stuff is gonna be impact. Like, you know, like sometimes there's a building, but there's only like the siding and the chevron that are white metallic stuff, right? So you only see that basically, and you don't know what the structure is.
Yeah, you have to describe silhouettes, like I don't know.
But anyway, like that's I walk with my dog, so I'm saying, and sometimes I think about like, oh, how would I describe this scene, right? Because I'm not great with description. That's my weak point as a GM, I think.
Exercise.
Yeah, exactly.
Exercise your vocabulary, your understanding,
and
your
part
descriptors.
Of that, you know, it's kind of like I always say role-playing is a lot like sparring too, where it's you have to just throw new stuff out there sometimes and see if it works. And it probably won't work the first time you do it, but if you never do it, then you don't get the feedback as to why it didn't work or how it could work, right?
Also,
Then you become QuestingBeast and get 90,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
Even also,
you're taking small, big Vinny D and get.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, even as a player, you can also like think about those things, right? Because sometimes, like, you know, you want to say, like, I was thinking about it the other day, right? It's like you say, like, you're in the woods or you're in the street somewhere, and you want to walk toward a structure or whatever, right? You can just say, I'll walk toward the thing, or you can say, like, oh, I walk toward the structure. I'm going around a puddle on the street, trying not to wet my shoes, right? You just like 4D this puddle there. It adds so much to the scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
visually.
It was raining earlier.
I'm gonna save this thought, but I'm gonna say it out loud so that I hopefully remember it. If we do an inevitable tear off your skin on his mysteries video, something you describing silhouettes made me think of something that I did once that was very effective at creating a mysterious atmosphere, and it was so simple. It was just there's a building in the distance, but it was very dark, it was very foggy, and it's just there's a black rectangle in the distance, and all of a sudden all the characters, what the fuck is that? It's like a monolith.
What could it be?
Is it like a monolith? Is it like a really broad-shouldered
come on, your
person?
characters would know the perspective of it and be like,
Yeah, but like, that's something I'm thinking about, because I walk like with my dogs along the beach and in the woods a bit, right? And it's a place I go all the time, so I see those shapes and I know what they are. But somebody that would be there for the first time, like you don't know, right? You just see like the shape, like you don't know what it is. It's you know it's some kind. It's probably man-made because the structure and stuff like that. It's like, but what is it, right? Sometimes like thing looks weird in the dark. That's something you should.
Also, one of the interesting thing about perspective is you might have a character who sees something illuminated, and you might have one who sees it unilluminated. So you have to say, to you it looks like this, to you it looks
And
like
that gets
this, because it gets tricky when you're dealing with multiple perspectives. But sometimes you got to say what it is, and then the other guy and tell him, yeah, it looked like this.
Yeah.
There you go. It's just like French Quarter us. French.
I mean, that's better than the alternative, because I played VTR with a guy who just went on about architecture, and it was just ridiculous architecture. Like, oh, it's a very gothic style with a lot of like scenery of like pictures from the Bible but subverted, and it has a lot of red architecture, and this is like how a library would look like if it was also at Swords, and it's really red and bloody. I'm like,
and there's
bro, it's a bar.
And there's lightning in the background, and there's.
I'm like, bro, it's a bar. Like, just tell me how many people, just tell me how many people, the core, what the people are dressed in, like, you know, stuff that.
It reminds me of another thing Shauner would say, which is like some GMs try to hypnotize their players and ooh, you're immersed now, and it's like, well,
like GM trying to prove themselves, like, you know, like trying to impress their player, like, but listen how good my prose is, and how can
I've got a writing degree.
I'm giving you a choice. It's called TUNIC. Every 30 minutes, I let you out on the yard.
No, we're past that. We moved past it.
No, not TUNIC.
I'm gonna put when you
it's
hear
not
the
working
ding
anymore, Tyler. What?
I'm setting my phone here. Like, when you hear the ding, I'm gonna give you a meaningful choice to make.
I have only known about TUNIC for an hour and a half, and I already wish to never hear of it again.
All right, guys. I think like I'm gonna wrap that up. It's late for me, to be honest. And,
Same. I gotta go. I gotta wake up early in the morning.
Okay, I gotta start my day because.
You're
there's a bit of sun. It's still cold AF. There's a bit of sun.
I got nothing better to do.
Well,
let's hang out after this.
Yeah.
Go back to sleep, stuff, right?
Yeah.
Donald, what's your wait? Donald, this is my. Hold on, this is my Discord.
Yeah, post in Discord or something. I don't know your Discord name, but I'm still Sonalar.
But I just want to thank you guys for joining me for that. It was a fun stream.
It's been fun.
It was, yeah.
Which is most important.
Yeah, and
Fuck off! Fuck you! Fuck you! Damn it!
Since
I
we
have
had
recovered.
fun, it was a valid and good stream, right? Nothing we did could be wrong because it was fun, and that justifies everything. And thank you for the people that watch live and commented in chat. Thank you for the people who are gonna watch the replay, and we're gonna try to do more.
Thanks for Ben Melton for being so fun for saying the quiet part out loud.
Yes.
Oh, you don't need to roll. He admitted it. Finally, somebody admitted it.
Yeah,
we've been saying it all along.
Right.
Well, Sarah's been saying it for years.
Exchange idea and stuff like that. I'm open to it, right? Just like if you want to come here and tear off his skin.
We can be civil if we are on the same table talking about it. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Same with any other 4D player. Because we know better. We just know better not to do it.
All right. Thank you, guys. I'm going to end the stream now. And talk to you next time. Bye.
See you guys.
Add me on Discord.
Okay, how? What's your name?